So yeah, we're going to change after 2 games. Hello and welcome. I'm not sure if that's trademarked to Randy, but I'm going to use it anyway. Welcome to the Melbourne Vintage League 4, the top 4. I'm Jimbo Dowling, this is Josh Butler. We're here to lead you into the first of the semi-finals. So tonight we're going to be playing out both semi-finals and the final. They're playing off for a time vault and some sweet revised lands. And a wasteland.
Yep, Badlands, Wasteland 3rd and 4th. What have we got for 1st and 2nd again?
It's a time vault for 1st and a tropical island for 2nd.
Okay, that's good. We had a Mox coming through last time, but it looks like it's evened up a bit more between the very top, because I think the 2nd got a playmat last time.
Yeah, look, the rising prizes of power has driven 1st place down a little bit, but, you know, time vault's nothing to laugh at.
No, I absolutely love my time vault. I won that back last year, January. I won that at CanCon. That was a lot of fun. It took me a while to use it, but it's a great thing that I had, and now continue to use it all throughout playing Vintage. I used it in this Vintage League. Unfortunately, knocked myself out of contention in the quarterfinals, which wasn't great.
I didn't make the top 8, so...
So we've got you here now.
That's it. So first up, we're going to be having Luke McCandles versus, is it Jeremy? No, we've got Lee Holland. So Luke McCandles versus Lee Holland. Luke's playing a very big mana workshop sort of list, and Lee Holland is on a Delver deck.
The Delver deck seems pretty standard using the Gush, obviously the Gush engine. He does have 1 Ancient Grudge and 1 Steel Sabotage in the main, which really will help against Luke McCandless' shops list, but unfortunately he is taking the mulligan down to 5 here. Luke McCandless, very still on the go hard or go home shops variety he's well known for down here in Melbourne. This is very similar to the Bazaar of Moxon list from last year, when the big mana metalworker going all the way up into Khan liberated, and now, thanks to the new printings, Ugin.
Also worth noting in Lee's deck list that I think Luke might have missed, there's an Annul hiding there.
There isn't a null hiding there.
So,
looks like we're ready to go in, and we've got the 7 kept for the shops player, and unfortunately Delver is down on 5, so it's going to be a bit hard for him to come back, particularly if we've got a very fast mana start here.
We'll update those nameplates for you in a second. No Jade or Jeffrey here yet.
Do have the Chalice on 1. Now that's going to shut out quite a lot of the deck. Unfortunately, you've got basically the best answer to that absolutely possible. There was no resistor effect coming from Luke there.
Speak of the devil.
It's 1 turn too late, because now he can continue to play his 1 mana spells even into that Chalice just to create that 1 token a turn, and Luke just absolutely cannot get in there and deal the damage into Lee.
Interesting to note, Luke overpaid for that Golem by 1. The Tolarian tapped for 2 at the time. Tolarian, a very key part of Luke's list. I know in the past he's played Expedition maps, but he seems to have cut those recently, so we'll see how that change goes for him.
Okay, so he is now still applying the resistor effects. He can choose to attack here, possibly into a 1 mana spell coming from Lee. Even something as simple as an Ancestral Recall countered will still create the token and allow Lee to go on the offensive.
I think you'd be fine with that as Luke. You're either... Well, what is this? There's a lot of mana. Staff of Nin.
Okay, he needs to create a token right now, or this game is basically over.
This looks tough. So Staff of Nin, for those who don't know it, it's a 6 mana artifact. It says, at the beginning of your draw step, you draw an additional card, and it can tap to deal 1 damage to a creature or player. Very powerful against the X1s that the Delver list is going to be bringing out. Kills every creature in the deck unless the Delver manages to flip early enough. And it's going to bring the cards and keep the cards coming.
Interesting that we can't see an Ancient Grudge coming here, which would be absolutely amazing. He just doesn't have the mana for it.
So what have we got? We've got a Lightning Bolt in response.
Which will get countered, but it'll still make the token, which is just going to die before the next attack from the Lodestone Golem.
It'll make a token if he remembers. It'll get countered if he remembers his triggers, which it appears he did. So, third land from Lee.
Now, Ancient Grudge is open here. If he had it.
Luke drawing an extra card here. Not the blue deck, but will take the card advantage roll if he needs to.
Elects not to destroy the token to get in for the extra damage.
I think he'd be happy with trying to take out any Snapcasters that come down or anything like that.
Yep, Snapcaster, not the biggest threat, because he can still, if he can only play one creature with one toughness,
yep,
the thing will still get it next turn.
And Lee decides to scoop them up. Khan Liberated, the final card played there. That's right, 7 mana, not playable off a Mishra's Workshop, but somehow you can still play.
Still through the Resistor of the Sphere and the Lodestone Golem, so he actually ended up paying how much for that?
That'd be 9 mana. That's as I said, Tolarian Academy is very key for Luke's deck. He just wants to power up these 7-drops, 8-drop Ugin the Spirit Dragon.
Yeah, and you can see he has upped the number of City of Traders. He's always teetered on 0, 1, or 2, but it looks like he's gone up to the full 3 City of Traders.
So worth noting here is that these are played as best of 5, not best of 3. That's a tradition of the Melbourne Vintage League. From the first iteration, I believe, we played 5 games instead of 3. Got some extra sideboarding, but I think we're coming back to a booth for a sec, just to... don't need to watch the players getting into their sideboards.
Yeah, so basically when we first started the Vintage League, it was a bit more of a casual atmosphere. We wanted to get more players in, more players playing, which was absolutely great because what we had going on, we decided, as Jimbo said, let's get more Vintage happening. If you're at the store and you only play 3 games, it can be over quickly. If you go the full 5, sometimes you're going down for a full slog. One of the Vintage finals a couple of seasons ago, in the very first season, there was a Landstill versus Grixis match that went for about 2 hours just because Landstill, obviously the slow deck, and Grixis just not being able to break out of that lock except for those few crucial points which managed to actually get the Grixis player there after the full 5 games.
Yeah, so this is the 4th iteration of the Vintage League. We've got the 5th one coming up soon. It's pretty sweet. It's a little bit different from the Vintage Super League in that there's a lot more than 8 players, so it's harder to just predict what everyone's playing. So
and we started first.
Yeah, we started first.
Copycats.
I think, Josh, you were actually the person who started the Melbourne League. Is that true?
The Melbourne League, yes. There was a lot of guys up in Sydney who's had their initial one, and I was helping them with that.
Okay.
And so then the idea obviously came down that we started doing our own one. And then, so unfortunately, Sydney have died down. They're just starting their second one in the past couple of weeks, so that's good for them. But this is obviously the finals for our 4th, and we're definitely steaming ahead straight going into our 5th one as soon as this is finished.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think these guys are actually doing with their sideboards? Obviously, Luke McCandless is quite well built against the Delver deck.
Yeah, game 1 is very good for Luke. Post sideboard, Lee's got a little bit of hate to bring in to come with the main good board cards. In his sideboard, we can find 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Nature's Claim, and 2 Ingot Chewers. Very diverse there. Looks like we're ready to head back down. Players just finishing up their shuffling, and then we should be seeing some 7s.
Do you think we're going to see Luke bringing in that Sundering Titan? He's definitely bringing in the Worm Coil engines, but some of these other creatures, the Razormane Masticores and the Sundering Titans, can be a bit iffy. Razormane Masticore, if you're down on cards, is obviously not a great tactic, and it is direct removal for a Pyromancer. However, once they've got the tokens out, it isn't that great, and the first strike isn't as relevant as it was back when the Rug decks were still playing Tarmogoyf.
Look, if Masticore's not in here for the Delver deck, what is the Masticore for?
The Mirror.
The Mirror match?
It will remove everything except for it'll remove Metalworkers, it'll remove Lodestones, it just won't remove a Worm Coil.
Okay.
But even you can shoot it for 3 damage and then attack, and with your first strike you will kill that Worm Coil engine.
That's fair enough. And the card advantage can be recouped specifically in Luke's deck by the Force Staff of Nin. Not many decks can feed the Masticore for long, but he's definitely got it covered.
Oh, you've always got your one draw return. As long as you've got one card, you'll never draw another card, but you can keep a 5/5 first striker on the board, which is a major thing against a lot of the other creature decks.
Yeah, against any deck that isn't playing, I suppose Ancient Grudge is a fair enough answer. It was very good against the blue-red Delver decks that were popular 6 months ago.
Mhm.
In that they had to have their Ingot Chewers, and that was it. Lightning Bolt's no good, your creatures are no good. So that's it.
Yeah, I think the big question for me is the Sundering Titan or not. Obviously, it can absolutely wreck a light mana base like a Gush deck is built around. However, it is a Gush mana base. If he puts all his eggs into one basket to get a Sundering Titan out, and he just gushes back 2 lands, he only loses 1 land, that is backbreaking against the Shops deck.
Both players are keeping their 7 here, so we're going to see Lee take it away. He's got turn 1 Sapphire, which is pretty sweet for the Pyromancer deck. Being able to either play a Pyromancer turn 1 or play a creature, a Delver, and keep up some counter magic.
Of note, Lee has had the Mox on first turn both games, which is amazing at pushing ahead, especially as Luke had no resistor on turn 1, allowing him to use that full 2 mana. Yeah, honestly, he doesn't cast anything with it, though, it looks like.
So Lee getting punished here for fetching in his turn. There's a Wasteland from Luke.
Yeah, that just seems wrong here from me. Does he not have another land? Okay, no, that's
a Chalice on 0 as well. Not the best against the Delver decks. There's only 2 Moxen in the deck and the Lotus, of course. And one of the Moxen is in play. And here we see Tarmogoyf. Currently a 1/2, not living up to its price tag, but I'm sure soon enough that will be a potent threat on the board.
That's a 1/2 Tarmogoyf. And it is only a 1 of Tarmogoyf in his list. Lee has decided that he does want that slight bit of extra power. Something to probably go over the top in the mirror.
I mean, it's difficult to play more when you're playing Delve spells. You've got 2 Snapcasters and the Singleton Treasure Cruise, so there can be times where you just can't use your Tarmogoyf.
No, you can cast it, but it's going to stay very, very small. It doesn't have the ability to grow like the old Grow decks did. 5 mana here.
If I'm not mistaken, Lee should be on 19 as well from his fetch land. And there we see the Razormane Masticore. It was brought in. And somehow it's going to be able to kill this Tarmogoyf as it currently stands.
Yeah, we've only got land still in the bin, so he's going to need to drop at least 3 cards. And even if he does manage to drop the 3 different card types in there to make it a 3/4 to survive the Lightning Bolt, as I said earlier, it's not going to be able to block against the 5/5 first striker without going down.
I had to think for a second there. You said land still in the bin. I didn't make the top 8, but come on. Lee looks like his sideboarding must have been pretty simple. He's got a few dead cards in the main to take out. So we'll chat about that after this game. There's the red source. That's much needed in this matchup. A lot of the removal is red. You've got the Ancient Grudge. You've got the Ingot Chewers. So the Masticore discarding a Sphere of Resistance in the upkeep.
He does have plenty of lands there.
And Lee responds with a Mystical Tutor to put the 3rd card type in the graveyard. Tarmogoyf is a 3/4. Some sweet play there. The Mystical did get countered by the Chalice, but got to do what you got to do to keep your Tarmogoyfs around.
It really looks here like Ingot Chewer and the Ancient Grudge are the only real outs to the Masticore here. He can continually just pop that Tarmogoyf for 3, and Lee is not going to have enough card types in the bin to really pump that Goyf up to 8 toughness, sorry.
Yeah, there's also the Nature's Claims, but you're correct. The
Chalice on 1.
Ooh, touche. The direct removal is definitely the only option. We see a defense grid come down for Luke as well. It's just attempting to turn off any interaction that Lee might have.
Look, the only thing he's really going to have here that would really be affected by defense grid is shut off by the Chalice at 1. As long as Lee doesn't make any other plays, the Force of Wills he can just easily pay for here.
Is that an Ancient Grudge?
Yep, that's a foil Ancient Grudge. Just gonna casually remove that 1 cost. The counter on 1.
What did Luke bolt with the Masticore? Did he still bolt the Tarmogoyf? Or did he
It's only
go for the
creatures.
face?
You can't bolt the player
Oh,
with
okay.
So it's a pure race here, particularly now as that Chalice at 1's gone. Lee's got a lot more options in Steel Sabotage, Annul. He could do it right now after he's discarded a card. Oh, Nature's Claim.
Oop. Unfortunately not on your opponent's turn, but and the Ancient Grudge is still hiding in the graveyard, ready to flash back.
Mm-hmm. So he's got 2 ways of getting rid of this Masticore, otherwise he is just dead this turn. There's
a Preordain there. Both to the bottom, didn't want either of those, looking for something in particular. And there is that Nature's Claim that we knew about. Luke going to gain 4 life off that, so not too bad for the race, but
Bin now has creature in it, which is putting Tarmogoyf now up to 4. So
Preordain as well for 5.
5, so Luke is on a 3-turn clock and needs to find something, and that Ancient Tomb, as his only land mana, as I say.
Luke should definitely be on 8 here. The Tarmogoyf is a 5-4, not a a 5-6, not a 4-5. Second Masticore for Luke.
It's alright, he's still got the Ancient Grudge in the bin to get rid of that. Bash through with the Tarmogoyf, and that's basically game. Luke won't be able to effectively use his Ancient Tomb.
Oh, another Nature's Claim. Okay.
Just still had all these.
Interesting choosing to use that instead of flashing back the Ancient Grudge. The Grudge is better for the race, as well as you can cast the Nature's Claim through the defense grid, but you can't cast the Ancient. You can cast the Ancient Grudge. Although here is the Lodestone Golem.
Bear in mind here that if he used the flashback on the Ancient Grudge and Luke did not have a creature there, he would have just died.
Then we see the Annul.
To the swing from the Tarmogoyf.
That's the new artwork for Annul, not the Urza's one. Urza's, am I right in saying that?
Yep.
That one's the Theros block one. Comes across with the Goyf, and there's the Lightning Bolt to finish her up. So we are going to a game 3 here. I'm going to pop back to the booth. If you just tuned in, welcome to the Melbourne Vintage League 4 finals. We're in the semi-finals currently. I'm Jimbo. This is Luke. Josh. Luke's out there. And we're here to cover both semi-finals and the finals.
So do you think that was reflective of just the raw amount of anti-artifact destruction there Lee has in his deck, or did you think that he was pretty, lucky to get the 3 different pieces of artifact removal? I mean, obviously that's what you want against the Shops deck, but he did have the Mox to start it off. He did have the Ancient Grudge when his opponent had the Chalice on 1. Obviously that's what you bring them in for. Chalice at 1 is a very scary card against you.
Yeah.
But I do think that given a couple of cards going differently, the Shops deck would have gotten there.
Yeah. So how do you think Lee went for the sideboarding? I know that there's at least one card in the main that he doesn't want, in the Flusterstorm. Won't be hitting much with that.
He's definitely broadened the forest. He's got the Ancient Grudges, Nature's Claim, and Engottua. So there's 7 cards there. He would have taken out his Misdirection, Mental Missteps. Because Luke has gone away from the baubles, there's absolutely nothing in his deck that can be taken by the Mental Misstep, besides obviously the Soul Ring, and you're not going to be keeping those in.
As well. So,
Soul Ring and the Mana Vault, but again, as usual, your Mental Missteps are definitely going to be coming out. It's not like an Oath deck against Shops where you really want that hard counter to cage that you can do on the play if you go a land.
So what do you think of Gush in the matchup? Is that a card that's worth considering to board out?
It depends on how you approach the matchup. I generally like to shave a gush. Not
Mm.
too many though, because eventually you do get to the point where you need to draw cards, and you do have the ability to save your lands from waste effects
Yep.
or strip effects. You can use the gush to increase your mana, say on third turn.
Yep.
When you've gone land, holding 2 fetch lands in play, you just crack them on turn 3.
Mhm.
You gush, you play a third land, and that can sometimes get you past a sphere, and that's very important.
Looks like we're back down to the game here. Are we both on a 7, it looks like? Sweet, so they're both on 7s, and Luke is on the play here for game 3. Luke, higher in the Swiss. How did these players end up in the top 8 on their
I do
Swiss
think
games?
Luke was second.
Second? Okay.
Once again, double chalice, very, very powerful play. And again, no force of will kept by Lee.
Is he even running them?
We haven't seen them yet today.
Right.
Today chooses not to crack his fetch land in the face of a possible wasteland.
So we've got Luke as the 2nd seed and Lee as the 6th.
Okay, that's a well-protected metal worker. Basically, he's going to need that second. He's going to need that two-cost removal spell, being something like an Ancient Grudge, because that, again, Chalice at 1, it just shuts out so many answers. The alternative is Engotch. Now he does crack and go get a Volcanic, I believe, at end of turn, so Luke does have the ability here, if he does try and cast a spell,
Is this
just waste it, and then Ancient Grudge is just out of the picture.
Is this the end step?
I believe it is.
If this is the end step, Luke has an untapped wasteland here, and this could be very bad.
Yep, and there's just a straight up misplay right there.
It's unfortunate, but them's the breaks. Lee not playing any Hercules Recall of note.
Not really. Delver decks don't really have the ability to go off, even if you do have a bunch of gushes and a young pyromancer. The Hercules Recall effect is amazing back when you really wanted that one turn to just go bang, got ya. It was always the got ya in the bag, and it just doesn't seem as relevant when you're gonna Hercules Recall them and play a 1/1.
So
that might become a 3/2.
Here we see a Staff of Nin on turn 3 for Luke. That's pretty backbreaking. An opponent with 1 land in play, and you've got the Staff of Nin. Lee must be sitting on an Ingature or something here, if he's going to have a chance with this game.
Luke's down a lot of cards, so that Staff of Nin really has to go here. The Metal Worker, it's not going to be doing much from now until he's got a few more cards in hand.
Yeah, we see Luke's down to 1 singleton card.
Bear in mind, if he chooses not to get them, if he chooses to get the Staff of Nin and he rips another couple of artifacts, that Buried Ruin goes away and gets the Staff of Nin.
That Buried Ruin, so for those of you who don't know it, it taps for colorless and has 2 tap sacrifice, return a target artifact from your graveyard to your hand.
Blaine Christensen .land brought it to the 2012, rocking 4 of them. The 2012, I believe, was Vintage Championships made top 8, rocking 4 Buried Ruins.
There's only the singleton in this deck list. 4 is not going to cast Khan Liberated very easily. So here it comes, the rolling advantage. Metalworker's going to make a lot of money now. We just see the power of this Workshops deck. When it gets ahead, it stays ahead. Although Luke electing to attack with the Metalworker.
If he doesn't have the cards in hand, he's going to just play a land and cast them anyway. It gets in for an extra point of damage. And it's not like he's going to be doing anything on his opponent's turn.
The Ancient Tombs taking the pain here, and there's a Razormane Masticore.
Luke here really has just been uncontested this entire game. He's not doing it. Lee's not doing anything relevant, as I say, as he's casting an Ancient Grudge, but it's just too late.
Ancient Grudge taking out the Chalice. None of the threats getting removed there, just the Chalice. Perhaps hinting that there's some more 1-mana removal spells in Lee's hand.
Even if there are, and he casts them right now, he needs a lot.
It's going to be difficult to pull this one back.
Remember, Buried Ruin, that Chalice is coming back next turn.
You know what would be sweet here? You know what we need to play again? We need to play some Pulverize.
Yeah, doesn't have 2 mountains.
So here we see a Preordain digging for something in particular. Was that a Dak Faden we just flashed into his hand there?
Possibly.
Could that swing this game around?
Him getting the stuff in could work.
Staff of Nin or even the Masticore.
The Masticore discarding cards, getting rid of the Metalworker. Yeah, that's a much better play. That's why they call you Jimbo.
Luke discarding a beautiful Black Lotus there to the Masticore in his upkeep. And after that, it looks to be receiving an Ancient Grudge back from the graveyard.
Now, do you take the... Yep, he's taking the Masticore after he's made him discard it already. But he's still going to get drawing more and more cards from that stuff and then absolutely just burying Lee, the blue deck.
So, from what I've heard, Luke loves this specific build of Workshops just for its strength in the mirror. Have you played the Shop's Mirror against Luke before?
I've played it a lot of times. I've always been quite lucky against Luke in that generally when I'm playing Espresso variants, I've got a lot of Null Rod effects, which really hamper the deck. But again, that Staff of Nin is very, very powerful.
Yeah, the Staff of Nin just simply says, I'm going to draw two permanents per turn. Good luck with your smokestack. So here we see Metalworker revealing 3 after that Buried Ruin has been activated. So the Masticore is back. Luke playing some sort of Suicide Brown deck here, down to 8 life himself. And there's a Tangle Wire coming down to boot.
Which means no Dak Faden.
No Dak Faden. So this is the crucial moment where you need to Nature's Claim something, if you have it.
Force of Will on the Tangle Wire may be used, but nope, he's just going straight through, tap down, and he's now on a 3-turn clock.
Second Mountain. Unfortunately, there's no Pulverize on the deck list. I would do a song and dance if he cast Pulverize.
No, I've seen Pulverize played. I used to play it in mono red shops with welders.
Right.
Because you played 6 mountains, so it was always fun that you could just, in the mirror, say, I've still got lands left over.
Yeah. So Pulverize, for those who don't know, it's 6 mana, destroy all artifacts, but it has an alternate casting cost of sacrifice 2 mountains. Pay 0 mana, sacrifice 2 lands, kaboom.
And the shop's deck is left with just their lands. Often things like Ancient Tombs, and they just don't want to tap once you've removed the permanents.
The Ancient Tombs are hurting Luke here. The fact that he can't just simply slam every card that he draws is going to be hurting him.
With a Metalworker and a Staff of Nin, he can pretty much be slamming all his cards.
Yeah, alright. He still has to worry about some bolts coming down here. I think Bolt is the only card that really is threatening Luke here.
Yeah, sure. If Luke goes to tap down with his Ancient Tombs, and then gets double bolted, that's definitely annoying.
So Lee with a fetch land could be a struggle. That 1 life may end up being relevant. We'll have to wait and see.
And the all-important ping.
Yeah, that's got in for 3 damage now. 6 mana, deal 3 damage. It's all of the triggers here for Luke. 3 things happen before he even draws for turn. So Lee cracking a fetch land here. What's this going for? This could be an Ancient Grudge.
Could be an Ancient Grudge, could be any 1 mana spell. However, putting him down to 7, he is actually dead without anything. If he attacks with the Metalworker and the ping, that extra 1 damage from each of those, he is dead right now unless there's another card. Obviously he's not scooping, there's another card, but that is something to keep note of, that even if he manages to get rid of the Masticore right now, he's still taking 2 a turn without putting a permanent down.
Here I am laughing at Luke attacking with his Metalworker on the early turns, but Xaxis is in play. But Luke doesn't see it.
So, yep, he takes the opportunity to get rid of it, and the 5 damage is still managed to go through.
That was a Snapcaster down there. Targeted something, I'm sure, but there's no mana there to cast it.
Yeah, I don't think there was any reason there not to attack with the Metalworker.
Well, that's a pretty good reason.
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason too.
Oh, so he's revealed 2 Staff of Nins, and then used them to cast an Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. Standard playable.
Putting himself down to 4 to do so. Dead to just bolt.
But Ugin has Bolt himself, and that is enough to call it there. That is 2-1 currently to Josh. As a reminder, we're playing best of 5. I believe we're going to swap out some commentary here and get some different people in, which should be pretty sweet for you for Game 4 and maybe even Game 5. So as soon as I get the word, I'm going to be jumping out of the booth. Josh might be as well, and we've got an all-star cast of Melbourne Vintage players for commentary.
Yeah, that's all good. Are you expecting this to go to 5? Luke is back on the attack. No, he's going to be on the draw again.
Lee on the draw. If he draws Mox turn 1 again, that should be pretty fine. The turn 1 Mox, and then with an okay draw, this could go to 5 games.
I'd love to see the 5 games.
Looks like only one of us can pop out and change. Do you want to pop out for this one?
That's alright, I'll pop out and we'll get someone else in, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
No sweat. Alrighty, so we'll be back shortly with a third commentator. We've got 4 different people today, and here to bring you through the Melbourne Vintage League semi-finals through the final. Hello to all the viewers out there, Australia, worldwide, wherever you're watching from. Hope you're having a good time. Alrighty. Ben, how you doing?
I'm very good, Jimbo.
That's
How
good.
are you, mate?
I'm good.
Some exciting matches.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's been a couple of misplays. Poor Lee.
Yeah.
Forgets about these wastelands straight in front of him.
The Wasteland's in play. But what can you do?
Yep. Oh, well.
So, introduce yourself. Who are you?
I'm Ben. Another Ben McCoy. Another vintage tragic from too far ago. What can I say? Love vintage.
Yep.
Love watching it. Hate mud. Oh, did I say that out loud? No.
Were you in this iteration of the Vintage League?
I was. I think I was down the bottom somewhere.
Okay.
Almost dead last.
Right. Yeah, no, I think we were paired in the final round at the bottom tables there.
Yeah, yep. I think it was a standstill mirror.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah. Land go. It's just not vintage.
That's it. Are we heading back down to the table soon, I believe?
But here we go.
Yeah, we've got some
Wonderful.
shuffling. It's going into game 4. Once
4.
again, these are best of 5 games. Sideboarding after 1 game. We just like playing more Magic.
Yeah.
So
It's great. It's great for the league too. I mean, when you sort of turn up, sometimes when you're meeting people out in the sticks or something, and you sort of play best of 3, and it's over in 2 rounds, you sort of want to play another game.
You don't want to travel, an hour to a store to go play a game and play 2 games and head home.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're still shuffling. Okay.
So 2-1 to Luke currently, up a game. On the draw for game 4. You've got the deck list here for them if you wanted to have a peruse.
I do want to have a peruse. I do. I actually have not looked at... I've seen Lee's list.
So we've definitely seen bits of Luke's sideboarding. He's got the Razormane Masticores in.
I saw the Masticore. I thought it was a very... there's 2 Masticores. I think I saw some defense grids, unless he main decks.
No, they're definitely in for the board. Did we see a Worm Coil engine in that game?
We didn't, but... I can't see one in his sideboard unless it goes over the page. It does go over the page. I certainly would not be surprised to see one of them. Sundering Titan.
Most players have kept their 7, it looks like.
Ooh.
So we've got Lee on the play for game 4. We'll update that game score for you in a moment. It is 2-1 to Luke. Is that the first workshop Luke's played? No, he played one in the first game.
Defense grid.
The old counter this or don't counter anything.
Yep. It's a simple card, but it's effective. Oh,
All right, there's the rest
and
of the
then
hand.
just all the accelerants.
Bleh. Leaves Luke with 2 cards in hand, but they're probably good ones.
I'd like to think so.
Still had all these. Nice looking too. Black borders on those.
And the severe to back it up as well. Oof.
So Lee cracking a fetch land, this time on his turn. So hopefully that plays better for him.
Yeah.
What are we going to see from him here? It can only cost 1 mana, fetching the green source.
Delver? No, he probably would have played that first turn. Have we seen any Delvers hit the board yet? I don't think we have.
No, he's on 4 Delvers and 2 Pyromancers, but
You wouldn't board them out.
no
so,
Pyromancers yet. No Delvers yet, I'm sorry. No Trigon Predators, interesting to know.
Yeah, and the Goyf
Mm.
in the main too. It's the big fat dummy. He got to pay 1 more for that one. Yep, there we go.
So here we see the Nature's Claim. Taking out the Sphere of Resistance. Wants to be able to play all his spells at once, but still none of them on his opponent's turn.
Has he played a Force of Will yet? I swear he's playing 4 of them.
No, similar to the previous Vintage League, there was a Landstill deck that drew its first Force of Will in Game 3 and had to mulligan.
Oh.
Uh,
Pyro.
Alright.
He'll do a job.
So Luke played another Sphere, passed back, and Lee's got the Pyromancer. Clear why you wanted the Sphere gone. You want to play the Pyromancer and play 5 spells afterwards. So. Here's the Staff of Nin from Luke.
And a dead Pyromancer.
It's looking pretty one-sided. Lee's going to need to...
yeah, I think that
find something
Staff
now.
has to be dealt with pretty soon. Would be my general thinking.
Yeah.
How many cards does Luke have? He can't have many. 1?
1 or 2 would be all that I would see.
The Lee's only chance here, I think, is if that's not a threat and he can get rid of that Staff quickly.
Lee fetching another Volcanic Island. Interesting that he keeps getting the non-basics.
Yeah, he's got 2 out there. Did he play a main? Did he must have 2 in his hand.
So he's got 2 islands and a mountain in the deck. So unless he needs the second red source.
I did hear you mentioning Pulverize. I love
Not
it.
in the deck list, unfortunately.
What a great card though.
So Lee has the Time Walk.
Time Walk. I'm
Just
going
going for the Explore option. Draw a card, play a land. Pray that it's a good one.
Time Walk. Oh, well.
Nothing to follow it up.
And Staff of Nin starts doing its job.
So only 0 mana spells available to Lee now. The Sphere and the Defense Grid. And
a Wasteland. Red source. I would have been tempted to get rid of his only green source.
the
Turn
green
off
is
Claim.
We've got the flashback on Ancient Grudge.
Ancient Grudge.
And the Nature's Claim and the 1 Tarmogoyf, and that's it for the deck.
Couple of hate pieces. I just find it weird that you go. Oh, it's not weird, but I would have hit the drop. That's just me. Because it's his only green source there, and he's already got a red.
Is this in the end of Luke's turn? If it is, he can't cast that.
I would say
4 addition.
I would say he's done it. He tapped the volcanic.
But it costs much too much
Oh
mana.
yeah,
Defense
defense grid. I forgot about the defense.
Any hopes of that?
Yep. Nope. That does not work.
Players seem to have figured that out, so that must have been in the draw step or something like that. And here we have a Chalice on 3. Lee a little bit punished for
that's a bit cheeky, but yep, that's
revealing
fair
the
enough.
card.
Yep.
Looks like this may be the end of the match coming up soon. I hate to
It's looking ominous.
call Doomsday, but
Great card.
looks like that.
Terrible against workshops, but great card.
We have a Treasure Cruise. The one of
draw.
recently restricted. Has to pay 1 additional, of course.
Yep, which you can delve,
Oh, we see a Black Lotus there.
but you can't cast
That
it.
spell costs 1, so we're
How
going
does
to
he cast it? Yeah, we're gonna have to play a land first there, Lee.
land into Lotus into something. That's the line.
No land.
Another turn of this sphere, Staff of Nin for Luke.
Oh, Wasteland. That's a well-timed Wasteland too.
That is.
Maybe
Staff of Nin, more like Staff of Win, I've been told.
I'm surprised we don't see it in more lists. I've only ever seen it really in Candles.
It
It's
you need to be playing Metalworker for it to be.
That's true. That's true.
playable.
Yeah, we see enough metalworker decks floating around, eh? So
Yeah. One card that I'm finding missing from Luke's list is Contagion Engine. I was wondering if we'd see that, but Staff of Nin just as good, it seems.
that's a great name. Back.
Card
we're getting advice in our ears here.
So Lee has drawn another land, playing this Black Lotus, and seems to be in the tank, seeing what he can come up with.
Mulling over his options.
So he's got the Lightning Bolt for the Lodestone Golem.
Bolt, that kills a golem.
That is
Slows
the Black Lotus gone.
Slows the win con down, but we still got a Staff of Nin out there, so
There shouldn't be any mana in pool, right? The Golem costs
Red.
the Golem and the Sphere
there's a red in the pool.
for
So,
the additional costs.
not used. I think it's Trouble City.
Yeah, so this is the 4th Staff of Nin trigger here. It's got to be hard to come back from that now then. City of Traders, you got to be wondering what's in Luke's hand. What's he not able to play?
Yeah.
Well, another
golem, so that'll help you win faster. Oh, here we go. How much is that? And a Khan.
So,
I think that, and next turn there's 5, 9 plus the other 6 because Khan's going to at least make it 6/6 there.
Yeah, Staff of Nin, pings for 1. Khan Silver Golem says 1 is not good enough. We're going to have to go.
We're going to make it 6, yeah, or 7 technically. if we go with the 1 at the end of your turn there, Lee.
Alrighty, so we've got an animated staff, we've got an animated sphere, we've got an animated defense grid.
Defense grid.
Here come the boys. In for 6,
and
10, 14.
14.
14, is that right? And a follow-up golem. Turns out Luke is playing 17 golems, not just 4.
Yeah.
And that's
it.
We've got 3-1 to Luke.
We have our first grand finalist.
Alright,
Wow.
Lee will be receiving consolation prize, either a Badlands or a Wasteland. We'll see how that goes. But
Yep.
Luke has guaranteed himself either a Tropical Island or a Time Vault. So we're going to pop back to the booth, and then we may have a short break in between this match and our second match.
Yep.
I'm Jimbo. This is Ben. Welcome back to the Melbourne Vintage League Finals. We're in the end of the first semi-final now. So we're going to have a quick break here now. We should be back in 10 minutes, somewhere around there, ready with the second semi-final.
Yeah, which is Jeff and Jeremy. Some very exciting games there too. Some very interesting deck lists. I think we got Storm versus Delver.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only combo deck in the top 4. There was a second one in the top 8, but didn't make it in.
We don't know whether he played it the whole. That was an amazing deck list. I still can't get over that. Channel, Leech's Mirror, unbelievable.
So we're going to leave it there. We're going to have 2 more commentators back once we're ready for the next match. Stay tuned, guys. See you soon.
It's been longer than 5 minutes.
Shut
Get my time off.
Check.
Oh yeah, hey, he's got Yeah, confused me a little bit there.
I'm going the wrong way. Here we go.
Yeah. except for it to be counted because you know you're going to draw another one. You don't
Chance of you drawing
you
it
don't
back.
really have that with Delvo. In fact, do you have it at all with Delvo? They don't play.
No.
two count, they don't
You've
play-
got consistency. It's throw down a threat, play some cantrips, play some threats, build up critical mass,
Yep.
and smash. Well, Jeff's plan does something very similar. He'll sit there and sculpt a hand, and then just go right.
I just won.
Busted time.
Yep.
And
Bust a move.
it's pretty interesting. I'm not a combo player by any stretch of the imagination.
Well,
You played a little bit of combo
I
in your
love combo. I got sick of losing to workshops though, so I decided to try something different over the
time.
last
What's
couple
all the
of
hating
years.
on the shops?
You just get sick of seeing it. But actually,
I never get sick of seeing it in my opening hand. I'll tell you that much.
You know what? I am really enjoying the 2014-2015 variants and vintage decks. There are so many
Yes.
different vintage decks now. It's awesome. You can play Delver. You can play Burning Tendrils. You can play Burning Oath. You can play Shots.
Omni Oath,
Oh, yeah. Oh, unreal. I'm only... Land Still is a deck.
Junk.
But Noble Fish.
That came second in Masters
Yeah.
to Luke McCandless's list.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Amazing games as well.
Fantastic. But yeah, that once again, that's a 4-color deck, taking the best of all the different colors and just coming out there and just going, well, I'm going to play dudes and we're just going to kill your stuff.
Yep. It's exciting to be in vintage right now. It's
the
unreal.
options are just amazing. Every tournament you go to, it seems like you're seeing something different, something new that you haven't seen before, just someone else's take on it. And it might not be tier 1, but it's not far off.
Yeah.
It could just be that little bit of tuning, just to tweak it a little bit. And in the right metagame, crack things right open. I remember what was it, 2 weeks ago you were down at Vintage?
Yep.
The monthly Vintage, the local store. There was, 8 of you guys?
Yeah, there's about 8 of us, and there was all kinds of decks.
I don't think there was 2 decks the same.
Don't believe there was. There was the standard Lee Greaves deck. Shout out to Lee. There
Goblin
was
Welders, turning things into artifacts, welding them away.
Yeah.
Then
There was a Goblin aggro deck. There was an Elf Ball deck. There was a Guest deck.
Landstill?
Probably. I would say there was a Landstill. There might have been a Dredge deck.
There was Junk.
Oh, there was definitely Merfolk too. No Sideball Turk. No, what are we talking about Sideball for?
Look,
Jeff
in all
plays
honesty,
Burning
I
Wish
don't
and
think
he-
Jeff actually has much in his sideboard that he'll want to bring in. Most of them are his Burning Wish targets. So your Yawgmoth's Will, your Thoughtseize to clear the way, a Tendrils of Agony. No, I think he wants to leave it as a
leave it
Burning
as
Wish
Burning Wish
target to
target.
go
Yeah,
for
fair
it
call.
when he wants it.
That's fair.
He might decide that he wants more threats, so maybe he will bring in a Yawgmoth's Will to force it over the line.
I don't think he'll.
I think the Toxic
Will.
Deluge is really good, and he'll want the 4 tutors to get to it when he wants it. I feel Dak
What
is
is-
probably
what is-
not that great
What is
in the
Jeremy,
main deck.
What does Jeremy build in? I don't even know.
Jeremy's board. Look, Leyline of the Void.
Graph Diggers.
Graph Diggers.
They're all marginal cards, aren't they?
Yeah. He's definitely not bringing in the Mountain. He's definitely not bringing in the Ingot Chewers, I would think.
Are they better than anything else in the? No, I suppose they're better.
I don't think they're better than anything else he's got. Look,
Trigon Predator.
Trigon Predator, no, because in a long game he can just sit there and eat up his artifact mana base.
Yep. Fair call.
Dak will allow both players to filter their hands into getting relevant cards. So, yeah. Oh, so we've shuffled up and we've got cards going down.
Jeremy on the play.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. Graph Digger's Cage, it stops the Tinker into Colossus, but Tinker can still go get Memory Jar.
Yeah, it's what I love it. I love
I
about
just-
it. It's another example of why things like Grafty's Cage was a great sideboard card, but now it's bringing back things like combo decks, which have been a bit of a thing of the past. But now Grafty's Cage, you have ways around Grafty's Cage. You just don't go get.
So both players have kept it 7.
Sevens, no mulligans.
Snuck up on us.
Yep.
Turn 1 Ponder. No Ancestral Recall, but, you know.
Oh, well,
There's the textless one. I'm not the biggest fan of that artwork. I prefer the original artwork.
Yeah, fair call. I would like to see so we got a Moon Ponder. I have no idea what he's asking us. Hopefully with a shuffle effect, it makes your Ponder as good as an A-call. Well, almost as good as an A-call anyway.
It's different. I'm just being told by some of our minions who are helping us out, and the Merfolk is the Lorwyn printing.
Yeah.
But they've misspelt Lorwyn, so, they might be know-it-alls, but they don't know how to spell.
No. Law 1. Law 1. Okay. Any more accelerants over there?
Look,
The Delver deck doesn't really.
something.
play much.
He's light on Mox, as we discussed in the other game. He's
Never
going
gonna
for
be.
consistency. That's why so many of his spells only take 1 and 2.
Well, I suppose he doesn't have to be scared about Chalice on 1.
This is true. This is very true. I do find it interesting that the Delver lists aren't tempted to play a Null Rod. Like Merfolk's prepared to play it. How many more Mox is this Delver playing? Like, I actually see it as a relevant card.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
I think it really hurts shops.
Hmm.
So looks like we're in for a bit of a slow game, but Jeff showed us in the last game that he can close a game out very quickly, very threatening.
What's just happening here? Why do I see 2 lands? Is that what's that shiny thing on the?
Well, that's a polluted delta and an island.
Have we had 2 turns? Have we? Did I miss a turn?
I think there might be missed a land drop.
No, that's
That's
less than ideal.
It intrigues me. He's
Couple
gone
of
ponder.
minutes.
He obviously kept a
Couple of
hand.
counts.
Well, he's obviously kept a hand which has got some protection. You wouldn't just keep a whole heap of mediocre cards and a ponder going, this will get me out of trouble.
It's the ponder trap, though, isn't it?
Well,
It's probably yeah.
yeah. The ponder trap is a lot better than the Gitaxian probe,
Oh, yeah.
which a lot of players have a love-hate relationship. They either love it or they hate it, and some people hate both.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of Gitaxian.
Well, I haven't played it. I'm a shops player,
I haven't.
and you know what? I love it when my players play both.
No, yeah, it is a non-foil Underground Sea.
However, it is
But
black bordered.
It is a lovely black border.
I'm sure Jeff's been given stick.
Yeah, we can't actually hear anything that's happening out there at the moment, and I'm hoping they're not distracting Jeff. But when they're looking at his bling, so he's just throwing it around.
Foil Dark Rituals.
Bling.
Not my favourite artwork though.
Which one's that one? That's the Judge?
That's the Mercadian Masks. That's the first 4 you could get. Jeff likes to go with the pimpest of cards.
This is pimp.
So sometimes artwork preferences get put on the back burner.
This is
for in
actually
favour.
interesting. I'll be interested to see if Jeff was expecting the misstep.
What's interesting here is he hasn't paid for
He
that
hasn't paid
misstep.
for it either.
He's
yeah.
paying with 2 life.
Ooh. Misdirection back towards the misstep, targeting itself.
I think there's probably a little bit of a rules conversation going on with that.
Yeah.
Well, because normally when people misdirect, they misdirect whatever the
Awesome.
counter spell is into the misdirection while it's on the stack.
Yeah.
So that's probably the conversation they're having now. Can you redirect mental misstep into itself?
Doesn't matter.
Well, that Dark Ritual is sucked down 2 of those things. But once again, there's not that. Well, actually, no. There's quite a number of 1-cost threats in Jeff's deck. He's got the Dark Ritual. He's got Brainstorm's good enough threat. He's got the VT, the A-Call, the Mystical. Like, it's a Ponder himself. The Voltaic Key. Like, there's a lot of 1-cost spells in Jeff's deck. Those mental missteps, you don't want to just be throwing them around like they're candy.
He's only
They're
playing
relevant.
He's only playing 3, Jeremy, too.
Well, that's 2 of them gone.
2 gone. Yep. I'm hoping there's a Force of Will in his hand as well. Oh, Twister.
Well,
Yeah,
this might dig Jeremy out of the hole.
That's a good point.
But- Jeff's got less cards in hand.
It's let's see. Yes. Are we twisting though? Does it resolve it?
I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be looking at his hand, just going,
Yeah. Why not?
What else is in this hand that's gonna save me? But then again, Jeff's threat density, like Jeff's lighter on cards, it's essentially card advantage.
Yeah.
Like it's great card advantage here for Jeff. Jeff just goes, I've got more permanents on the board. I've played more spells. I've gotten more use out of my first hand. We've just been informed by players on the floor that Jeff's hand is 2 misdirections.
So it was probably resolving.
That Twister was resolving one way or the other, I think. There,
Yeah.
it can't be mental misstepped. Anything else was going to be misdirected. A Flusterstorm, maybe.
Would you have forced it?
Forced
I would have.
I would have.
It's not even.
100%.
It's not even
100%.
a question. And here we go. We're twisting.
Oh, Jeremy,
Shall we sing?
let's twist again. Like we did last. Jeremy had a red elemental blast in his hand before the Twister, which was just sitting there dead without a red mana
no red
source.
Red
That
source.
one mana source has really set Jeremy back behind the paces here. Missing that second land drop.
Would you have kept his hand?
Look, it's
With the
hard to
one
say.
basic?
It's hard to say what else was in that hand.
Turn it
He
into
had
a
Ponder.
fetch.
He went turn 1 Ponder.
Turn it into a... Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Like, he was digging 3 cards deep, and it's the shuffle deck. It's not the
Yeah,
brainstorm.
should've-
If it had been a brainstorm, I wouldn't have felt good about it.
Yeah.
Because locking yourselves out for the next
Well,
2
He
draws.
put them back on top, so he essentially did exactly the same thing.
No, he didn't. He shuffled, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know.
I believe he shuffled.
Now, have we gone to Jeremy's? No, he wouldn't have gone to Jeremy's
No,
turn.
they're both surveying their 7 cards. Storm
Yep.
counts at 1, which being the twister.
Yeah.
So Flusterstorm really wasn't a threat there. Jeff could have easily have paid
Oh,
for
no,
that.
past
So
turn.
he's past turn. He's loaded up with a 7. He obviously needs the extra 3 mana.
And there's a red source, so...
All right, so
Alrighty.
Delver's now got some action going. All right,
Graft
Graft
Diggers.
Digger's Cage. Okay.
It'll be a
I
speed up.
don't think this is going to annoy Jeff.
It'll be a speed hump.
Like he's more than a one-trick pony. He's not relying on a Blight Steel.
Still.
Hell, he can, and he might very well. He might Burning Wish for that Showing Tale and then just plop it into play, knowing how much of a difficult threat it is to deal
We
with.
have been informed that Jeremy's hand is entirely mana sources.
One
So
extreme to the other.
I'm assuming, yep, you gotta work on those shuffling skills, Jeremy.
Ah,
Um,
it's just it's so frustrating. Like,
when your deck doesn't play, yeah.
what? It's not even that. It's the worst thing is in finals. You always remember it the most when it happens in finals.
on the big screen too.
Oh, playing for big prizes. Look, that strip mine, it can take.
Oh.
It's not
mana.
going to hurt anything.
Not
Look,
now.
Jeff's got a blue source, he's got a black source, he's got a red source, he's got the red mox, he's doubled up on
Mox,
everything.
yeah.
Like,
It doesn't matter.
it's nothing. And quite frankly, if Jeremy doesn't start doing something this turn, Jeff's going to get the signal that it's all clear. Jeff's. Oh,
probably
he
would
drew the Burning Wish last turn. He didn't have the mana. Oh, I wonder why Jeff didn't play it. All right, this could get out of control quickly for Jeff.
Yeah, I'd say he's now on a good clock. Although, see,
And I'm see,
he needs an answer for the Graft Diggers. Oh,
no, I don't think the Graft Diggers will bother him. He can still go for Time Vault Key.
sure.
I don't think the cage is relevant here.
What does he wish for then?
What does he wish for?
Yeah.
Oh, look. What doesn't he wish for? He can wish for the Toxic Deluge. If he runs into problems with it... See, Jeff's got so many cards in hand, right?
Yeah.
To pass the turn with that many lands, or that many mana sources untapped, and to allow a Pyromancer to resolve, he's clearly got some control going on in his hand.
He's got a wish and a VT now in hand as well.
Alright, so the VT probably end step.
That
Get him to tap
helps
down, use
a
some mana
lot.
sources, and then use it as bait even.
I think we're going to be seeing Jeff go off.
Those mental missteps are back in the deck.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. We've got some playing around to do.
Alright.
And we've just gushed. Drawing.
He hasn't played a land for turns. We'll probably be seeing one of those lands hit back down on the
Double
board.
blue in pool.
It's double blue. Okay. I guess he's looking for more cantrips, probably more Delver. Maybe he's already holding the Delver. I don't know at this point.
I think he probably wants more cantrips with young Pyromancer and on the board.
Try and build up some critical mass.
Yeah,
But I think with that,
you don't get many turns against the combo deck. So when Jeff feels like going off, if he's under threat, I mean, he can just give it a shot. And if he's going to lose, he's going to lose.
well, the longer the game goes, the less likely he is to go down the Yorkmott's bargain route, because his life is a resource.
Yes, yeah.
He's down to 17. Look, he's one mana. Look, he can hard cast that bargain.
Just taking a peek at Jeremy's hand, I think I saw a Force of Will in there, which...
I do like it how you're leaning, like you might be able to see a better angle.
I can't. It's like when you're driving, playing Mario Kart. You got to lean.
Yeah, you got to lean into the corners. It's all about real life simulation here, people.
Yeah, that's right.
We hope you're doing the same at home.
Home, yeah. On the edge of your seat, of course.
Or at work if you're slacking off and watching
Dark
this
Ritual?
at work.
Oh, VT. Yeah,
The VT, the end step VT, we
was
knew
this
that.
End step, yeah.
Yeah, this is end step. Unless Jeff's wanting to use it for the storm count. Now, I think there might be some discrepancy going on with the life totals. I'm seeing 15 on the board, but I'm also seeing 13 on the player's board. So I think they might be just looking at that.
Yep, we've checked it, and that's exactly right. We're not really counting over here.
the Pyromancer swinging
Yeah,
for the extra
true.
2 damage.
Yeah, of
we
course.
missed that in our recordings.
Yeah, he uses the combat phase.
Yeah.
Not Jeff.
Well, look, this is interesting. If Pyromancer can close it out quickly, but if Jeff feels threatened, he can just go get that Toxic Deluge. It's going to lose some life, though. He's going to have to pay some life. He's only going to have to pay probably 1 or 2 life.
Yeah,
Probably just 1 life.
He wouldn't. Does he main deck Tendrils, or is that...
No, that's in the board. So I'm not too sure if there was any sideboarding going on there where it came back. Look, I don't know.
Well, you see, it's actually odd that...
I would love to see what's in Jeff's hand.
Yeah,
Jeff, turn your hand over already. Firstly, I want to know what's there, and secondly, I want to see all the pretty cards.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I have to admit, I'm pretty
He's still
fond of some nice
He's
flips.
still VTing. What would you go for?
Well, when you've got
Black
pretty
Lotus?
much nothing but singles in your deck, it's a lot of cards to consider. Like, Shops players, 4 of this, 4 of this, they're restricted.
Yeah.
There's not that many restricted artifacts out there. So we've got Jet, Crypt, Land, Burning Wish. Yeah, see, okay. You got a lot of resources there and not a lot of fuel.
Oh, it's not too bad. He's just going to deal with the Grafdigger's Cage, and he'll win off Yorkmoth's Will with that hand.
Yeah, look, well, what can he Burning Wish for that's gonna bust up that cage?
Probably Shattering Spree.
Yeah, Shattering Spree. Get some value there.
The gifts with the VT.
Well, the Shattering Spree can get 2 copies, so the cage will go.
He's going to the Time Vault plan. If he goes
Inevitability.
Gifts.
Well, no, gifts is interesting with the cage out because you can't rely on the Yorkmoth's Will style play, and I don't think there's any regrowth effects in his deck. So maybe he's just going for more busted spells, and he's going to draw the gas he needs.
I'm almost surprised you didn't just... Oh, no, you can't do that. It's... Yeah, so, hey, it's problem solving.
See, this is why I can't play combo.
Yep.
I don't have the thought process to go 5 cards deep, do all the mana counting in the top of my head. I'll play a deck that's full of 60 permanents and just kind of go, well, that's your turn. You do whatever you want over there, really.
Simple Simon.
All right, we're going back to the Dark Ritual.
Do we force that?
Jeremy's got a full hand. Look at it. We know there's
Stock
1
out.
land in there that he gushed back during his turn.
And we think I think we were told there was 2 Force of Wills. So he's hoping to force.
You never got me doing the lean. Damn it.
Yeah. Triple black, 1 blue, gifts, and a nice shiny Kamigawa one.
Well, you see, it's very interesting there. He's gone Dark Ritual. Plan to get to it.
And Red Elemental Blast.
And the fact that he's chosen to do it in his own turn.
Yeah, he's trying to win now.
Yeah, because by giving him that elemental token, that's another attack. That's another damage next turn. If he passes the turn, it's another damage every time.
So he's going to go to 9 at least.
And at the moment, is Jeff using these Dark Rituals as bait? I'm not 100% sure. Is he just trying to keep the flexibility of his dual lands alive?
Love the Rebs too.
It's a beautiful Burning Wish.
Yes.
Remember when I first started playing Vintage? That was restricted.
Yeah.
It was restricted for quite a long time. That was back in the days when people were playing 4 Gifts Ungiven before the restriction.
Yorkmoth's Will. Play Yorkmoth's Will again.
Oh, I tell you, the amount of times you could play Time Walk in a game back then was insane.
Demonic Consultation. Yeah. What did I just remove something out of from the game? What a shame.
I tell you, back then when you could play from the Exiled Zone, it was amazing. And wish into it. You'd go, I'll play my Time Walk, and I will regrowth my Time Walk, and then I will recoup my Time Walk by giving it flashback. And then, play your Time Walk, and then you'd play Yorkmoth's Will. They were fun times. And then you also could flashback, your recoup again on your Time Walk.
Yeah.
Hey.
The days of recoup's probably been turned into...
superseded.
Yeah, well, we got Snapcaster now, don't we?
Yeah. Look, there's a load of sitting on Jeremy's board, but I think that's only going to be relevant when we get into a big counterspell war. Like, Jeremy's got a full fist.
Yep.
He doesn't. His only 3 counterspells are the Force of Wills.
Oh, double pyro.
Double pyro. All right, Jeff's on a clock. He's on a very serious clock. But if Jeff draws into a Burning Wish, or has one in hand, he just goes and gets the Toxic Deluge.
Yeah.
All right. But he's going to have to fight through counterspells. And if he's going to do that, he needs to make the decision pretty much this turn. Otherwise, he's not going to have the life to do it again. Like, that's 7 points of damage on the board now.
So
it's a pretty safe bet. As soon as Jeff does anything, Jeremy's going to play a counterspell.
Yep, and that'll be the win.
Or a
Next
lightning
turn.
bolt.
It'll
Like
be-
at the end of the day, Jeremy's got lightning bolt in his deck.
Oh yeah, so cool.
Like he could
Right
very.
to Eve
Oh,
turn.
wow.
I would say this is GG.
Jeff must have just whiffed.
Oh, no.
Just
No, Jeff will get one more turn.
yeah, but life's a resource. He can't toxic deluge now. So maybe Jeff's just done this and he's really paying attention. But it also means no more fetch lands for Jeff. No more force of will for Jeff.
I don't think he needs fetch and force of will. Could be an issue. Yeah, we know he's got to fight through.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yeah,
There was
the
a force of
script-
will in his hand, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so that's one each. One each.
All right, so but they're now going to do some sideboarding. Maybe we should talk about some sideboarding.
Yes,
Ben.
yes.
Do you know what one of my favourite sideboard cards is in my shop stack? Little off topic here. Ensnaring Bridge.
And we're going to be
Swapping
swapping
it
out
out.
some commentators for the next couple of games. Or
Okay.
one of us is going to jump out. Oh, that
Got
will
it.
be me.
Ah,
And you guys
I
will
just
be
want to hang out with Jimbo.
you guys will be joined by Jimbo.
I'll just get the door. I won't take the headset with me.
Alrighty, how we doing? We are back. We are good. That was a sweet game too. Jeff was on the cusp of getting victory the whole time. Yeah, so let's come back to the booth. Need to check in on who's here. I am not Ben McCoy. He has left. I'm Jimbo. This is Dan Dowse. We're here for the Melbourne Vintage League 4 finals. We're in the second semi-final now. We've already got one of our finalists. We've got Luke McCandles playing his Go Hard or Go Home shops.
Very unique list.
Yeah, it's 4 Staffordins.
For stuff. And how you? I turned around and asked him before the tournament. I'm just kind of like, you're playing Khan the Silver Golem. Now, I've got a lot of love for Khan, but you traditionally see that in your more prison-style builds, where you smoke spacks, you crucibles, you know, you sphere effect and you tangle wire, and you use it as a big threat to push through. But he's just turned to be, and he's not really playing a lot of those. He's got 4 staffs, and he's got 4 spheres of resistance, and he's got 4 tangle wires. Like, there's not a lot of things there to animate and threaten with, and he's just kind of Staff Domination. It closes the game out.
That's it.
And I'm like, Staff Domination draws you an extra card every turn. Like, that should just close the game out with that effect.
Apparently, someone in the chat is picking on one of your cards.
Oh, in the chat.
Ensnaring Bridge sucks has been declared.
I don't think so. Who doesn't want to be a troll? Look at me, I'm a troll. I love it.
Yeah.
In the shops matchup, it's one of the funniest things you can do to your opponent because they, other than Luke, who's playing big ass planeswalkers, people just can't deal with it.
Yeah, in shops, sure. Yeah.
Like Staff of Domination, Staff of Domination really doesn't do anything to it, and they can pretty much just go Staff of Nin and try and ping you. But if you got some Null Rods or a Phyrexian Revoker there, goodbye Staff of Domination. Staff of Nin. They just killed themselves sooner because they're drawing 2 cards.
They're going to deck. That's your win con.
No, Barbarian Ring, clearly. just going to throw some rings, some hoops out. It's great times.
Alrighty, so we're looking into game 3. Did you guys get any chat in about the sideboards?
We had a bit of a chat there about it. I really don't think Jeff brings in much. He might.
Look, he's got to bring in the Hercules and the Ingot Chewers, right?
Of course. Well, actually, the Ingot Chewers block. You drop that bad boy down to 3/3.
I'm thinking about against shops, right? Hercules, Ingot Chewer, no. Mountain, maybe. But looks like we're back down here. We've got both the players. Are they on 7s or are they mulliganed?
There's not even any wastelands.
They're just deciding on their 7s.
Just
there's
a
a
single
strip mine. Yeah.
There's a strip mine, but I wouldn't think that was enough to bring in a mountain.
No, that's fair enough.
There's no sphere effects or anything. So
yeah, that's true.
it's your main thing you'd be worried about. And as far as like the DAX in both decks filter to relevant cards. And I think in the Delver list, being able to steal the artifacts there means Jeff has to think twice
That
about throwing
game
things.
1, Dak Faden. Oof.
Ooh,
Jeremy-
0 lands by Jeremy and has to mulligan.
Yeah, down to 6. Jeff has kept his 7, and Jeff is on the play. That's
Strong.
What have we got there? We've got a Dark Ritual.
Swamp Mountain, Lotus Petal, Burning Wish.
Okay, so
Did I see Mountain?
is that like
a swamp
a...
or an island? No,
Oh.
it must be in a swamp and an island in his hand. Surely.
Hmm.
A Lotus Petal, Burning Wish, Dark Ritual. So,
that's like a turn 2 kill, right? Something like that.
Depends what you want a Burning Wish for.
Will. My first guess would be
Yeah,
Will.
but you still need something to kill with.
Yeah, that's true. All right, because Burning Wish exiles. Oof. Is that Jeremy down to 5, or is that
Oh,
just
Island, Swamp, Ponder, Misdirection. What's a BW?
I think that's Jeff's hand. Yeah.
Oh, Misdirection. Oh, yeah.
So that misdirection that he went for. Interestingly enough, he could have cast it on the second misstep. Could have misdirected the second misstep to the first one.
Yes.
But then what was he resolving? His Dark Ritual. All right, so it would
I think the Dark Ritual was just bait.
Yeah. So Jeremy on a Mulder 5 here on the draw.
It's never a good place to be.
That's a running theme tonight. That's the third time it's happened.
It always sucks seeing in finals. Like, everyone wants to win their game, but you also want to walk out knowing that they were good, hard-fought games.
Yeah, definitely. I told them as I sat down, no mulligans to 4, please. But I'll never
Ponder.
blush.
I've seen a lot of Ponders in this matchup.
Do they know they can only play 1, right?
What happened in the last game with that Ponder? What was in Jeremy's opening hand? Because he's played that Ponder. Did he shuffle or did he draw?
He shuffled.
He shuffled and still didn't find it. Oh.
Yeah, so it was clear what he was looking for.
But when he missed the land drop, yeah, it was.
So yeah, it's been a couple of interesting games.
We were talking about that DAC. Where as soon as seeing the blight still go down, we're like, well, look, the only main deck chance he's got here is a DAC, and to see it windmill down on the table, and then Jeff to come out with the force, because it's so often you see, combo players don't even have any protection.
Yeah. The Delver player, he's down to DAC, and is there any sabotage?
No
None.
sabotage.
Oh, so he's got Fire Ice for a turn and DAC Fade, and that's all.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not many ways to deal with the blight still, but I guess he's looking more to counter spells, stop the tinker from even happening.
Yeah, that's it.
And if he gets his DAC down earlier, he can steal all the artifacts.
So Jeremy's got the turn 1 Delver.
You'd have to assume maybe some counter spells.
I think I can see a Strip Mine there in his hand, which would be...
Yeah, see, it's very difficult here with the Strip Mine. You can try cutting a colour source, but Jeff's mana base is pretty resilient. He hasn't skimped too much.
Yeah. Jeff's got the full 2 Island Swamp and the sideboard Mountain, but you won't see many issues with the Swamp. Sorry, with needing the Mountain. Alrighty, so Jeff appears to be going for something. He's got a 3 black and a red in his pool. The Lotus Petal is
I feel
gone.
it's a Burning Wish is happening here. Is that 3 card?
Wheel of Fortune.
I love a good wheel.
Oh.
Of course he's got the foil.
The Forced Mulligan, of course.
He's got a threat down.
So the black in pool, using some nice bright dice. I hope they help you out with keeping up with the storm and the mana count and all of that.
Now, I believe there's a misdirection in Jeff's hand from the opening.
Yeah, I'll believe that now. What's he removing with that? Didn't quite get to see it. Was it a Hercules recall?
Surely not. Wouldn't have Hercules in the deck, would he?
Misdirection with a misdirection. Okay, sure.
Well, that's not too bad.
He'd still have misdirection in his deck. It'd be for himself. Oh, sorry, if he'd still have Hercules.
Oh no, misdirection's fine. Like, of all the blue cards that you would want to pitch in his list, like, I couldn't think of too many others. Like, it's a protection spell. It did its job.
The Ponder would be the only one that'd be lesser, I would think, but it's already gone. Another Dark Ritual here.
So Storm counts up to 5. Triple black in pool. Has Jeff played his land? I think Jeff has.
No, he hasn't yet.
Well, Jeff's got 2 lands
yes,
in play,
has.
so he obviously.
This is turn 2.
That's right. He used the Lotus Petal for the red source to get the the wheel, and he needed the black to get the Dark
Yeah.
Ritual started. And he started turn 1 with the Island Ponder.
Here we are showing off the
That's a real Lotus, just in case anybody at home's wondering. Jeff likes to rub it in.
we're showing off the turn 1 potential of the format on turn 2, of course, but
Well, yeah, just
Can't
keep it
have
friendly.
everything.
Everyone deserves a turn.
cracking the Lotus. We've got 3 red in pool as well. Storm's
Did-
currently at 7. Is that right?
Yep. Now, I'm wondering if he's boarded in the Tendrils, because that's where this feels like it's going. Or maybe he could just dump a Yawgmoth's Bargain on the ground.
Well, I think he's going to Burning Wish here. No, you might have had the read. Oh,
Jar.
the jar.
Just keep it going.
Storm is at 8. And the jar has been cracked. Alright, let's go for the second set of 7 in the turn.
Now, have you played any Delver?
Not for a while, but I have had my stint with...
So how do you
Human
feel
Wizard.
the matchup is between the combo deck and the Delver list? Now, this isn't a traditional. This seems to be Jeff's list seems to be a hybrid control combo deck, but the
Yeah.
quantity of mana sources he's playing.
I have no idea what Jeff is playing, but it's sweet.
But yeah, we were discussing it
Um,
earlier. We felt that whilst the consistency is there in Delver to control a game and
Mhm.
whatnot, the number of busted cards and the broken level of
Well,
Jeff's
that's it,
deck
yeah. Jeff's just
and the
going to keep...
potential.
Jeff's just going to keep asking, do you have the counterspell? Do you have the counterspell? Do you have the counterspell? And if Jeremy ever says no, then Jeff's going to be in a commanding position.
Yeah, I believe he's going for Blightsteel, seeing that the memory jar's in the bin.
So is the Black Lotus, so we won't be going for Black Lotus. Lotus Petal's gone.
I don't think there's too many.
It could be a Time Vault. If
Oh,
there's
yes.
a key hiding out somewhere.
Yes. He's still got 3 mana floating.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, this.
Oh, there's the Blightsteel. Question is answered. Oh, he discarded the key to wheel, apparently. Possibly.
That's what people on the floor are saying,
Mm.
potentially.
Playmat's just not big enough to see it all, but oh well. It's fine.
Can still see the dice. The coloured dice really do help.
Yeah, they're nice and bright.
I can't think to. Oh, he had the Time Walk in his hand. Fell short on the blue source.
Right, he did have Force Blue card as well, which is worth noting. There's the Ingot Chewer there. Now that he's seen Grafdigger's Cage from game 2.
Is that a Hercule's Recall next to the Force?
That's a Hercule's Recall, yeah.
So he ported them in.
No, there's one in the main.
I was one in the main.
I
Oh, it's
think-
obviously for the Storm count, possibly.
No, he's actually boarded that in.
I wonder what he's taken out for that.
So he's definitely showing some fear of Grafdigger's Cage, considering that this is the second Tinker that he's resolved. Yawgmoth's Will is also a different path to victory that he could take, but the Grafdigger's Cage stops that as well. So the Ingot Chewer and the Hercule's Recall definitely trying to stop the cage.
What's interesting there, okay, yep, tap down. Very timely. Because I was just about to point out the Delver's not flipped. That would have been lethal.
Yes. The Delver only with the 1 toughness, not enough to stop the trampling goodness of the Blightsteel Colossus.
Now, I've seen people play Blightsteel Colossus wrong a number of times.
Mm.
Sitting on 10 life, and they seem to forget that it doesn't damage players. It just hits you up with the poison.
That's a voltaic key. That's did that just happen? Is this
That just happened though. Do you know what? When that type of thing happens, it just makes you feel like going, why
Yeah,
do you bother? He's got all the good cards.
Yeah,
All the good cards.
Alright, so it wasn't in his wheel hand. But that was sweet.
It was unexpected.
We're gonna pop back to the booth. That was cool. So that's 2-1 to Jeremy. Just a reminder, we play best of 5 in Melbourne Vintage League. Wow, Maltaki untapped my
You've got to feel
Blightsteel.
robbed. You've got to feel a little bit robbed there. You kind of like, I feel like I bought myself a turn. I've tapped it down,
Yeah, for sure.
and yeah.
No.
And do you know what the funny thing is that he did the right play. He did it in the upkeep.
Yeah.
His opponent's before Jeff's gone to draw the card. He's like, right, 1 less card in his hand to worry about countering
Yep.
this. I'll tap it down. Held it to his attack step. Still wouldn't have been any better.
That's something. That's
Still wouldn't have been any better, but there might not have been a Voltaic key there in the first main phase.
That's it. That's pretty cool.
But that's Blightsteel Colossus twice. That's closed the game out.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Tinker is a powerful card, they say.
Yeah, but, we haven't seen the Tez that he's got in there at
Yeah.
all, or even to go near that plan. We haven't seen him go near the Time Vault plan. Well,
Yeah.
obviously there we saw a key, but
So it's
That's all.
somewhere between like a hard Tendrils deck and like a Tezzeret control deck.
Jeff normally favours the combo. Like I've seen him play Storm a lot over the past 10 years
So
that
you
I've been
see-
playing with him.
There's some like Steel City Vault decks that run around with all of the draw 7s and Tendrils and Key Vault and Tezzeret.
You mean all the fun cards?
But they don't normally play 8 counterspells.
No,
So-
no. This is where Jeff's list is somewhere halfway between a control deck.
Yep.
And it reminds me a bit more of what was the name of the deck? Basically, the draw engine was. It was like draining tendrils or something. I
Okay,
think.
yeah,
And they
like-
played like 4 mana drains. They played 4 Force of Wills. They used AK as the draw
AK.
engine. They were running intuitions.
All right.
And basically, it just built up to a critical turn when they
Yeah.
just kind of go, boom, I'm going to tendrils you out of this game.
Yeah, that's sweet.
It was interesting. And that's what this reminds me of.
So how are you guys going at home? How are you viewers going? Are you where are you tuning in from? Let us know in the chat. Do you play Vintage yourself? I mean, if you're watching, you've got to have some sort of idea, I'm assuming.
They might just like Magic.
Yeah, sweet.
Or like us. Alright, maybe not me.
If you do play Vintage and you happen to be in the Melbourne area, or even in Australia, the rest of Australia, keep your eyes peeled for Eternal Masters Weekend. It's on
Queen's birthday?
Queen's Birthday Weekend, first weekend of June.
Oh, that's Queen's birthday weekend for Victoria. I'm
For
not sure if
Victoria.
it's the same in every other state.
So I think it's the 2nd and 3rd of June, sometime around then.
No. It's
The
little
weekend
bit like-
after?
it's around about the 7th.
Okay. There's the Saturday is Vintage, Sunday is Legacy, and Monday is Highlander, Australian 7-point. And each of those events, first place is a Mox. There's a Sapphire, and I'm not sure of the other two.
I think there's an emerald and possibly a ruby.
So if you need more information about that, check out Next Level Games. They're based out of Dandenong. Check them out on Facebook. They've got all their details on there. For now, we're heading back down to the game. We're going to see Game 4. And have they taken any mulligans yet, or is this going for 7s? No mulligans yet. Alrighty.
Whole lot of shuffling, stacking, lining up.
So are you going to be playing in the 5th Melbourne Vintage League?
I don't think I can.
No?
I'm off to Bali for 2 weeks, and I take off 4 days, I think 4 or 5 days after pairings are announced.
Right.
And I fly out on the Sunday morning, so
Right.
it doesn't really leave me a lot of time to organise those matches and get them played,
And
unfortunately.
how long are you out for? For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Right.
So it really means asking the league to hold on if I can't organise those games
Yeah.
quickly. I already know I'm out Friday night, I'm out all day Saturday, and then Sunday I'm hopping on a plane. It really just doesn't seem viable for
That's
me,
tough.
unfortunately. This the second time it's happened. The same thing happened with the last league. I was
Yep.
away over Christmas, seeing family in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So just rough beats, I love to get my vintage on. Well,
Alright, we've both got 7s. Jeremy with the turn 1 preordain.
hopefully we see a nice competitive game here.
Yeah, both on 7s is a good start. So let's see how it goes. Preordain. What's he searching for? Lands or action? Or counterspells? Or anything?
Jeremy's got an ingot chewer. See, I don't feel ingot chewer.
I think it's Jeffrey's got the chewer.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know why Jeff would bring an ingot chewer.
How's he won both the games though? It's been from Tinker, right?
Yeah,
Graph Digger's Cage. It's all in the
Yeah.
cage.
yeah, fair
That
enough.
said, the deck lists are public, and there's only 2 Graph Digger's Cage in Jeremy's list. So he might be overcommitting to trying to remove this.
Because there's no
Graph
point in
Digger's
throwing down
Cage.
an ingot chewer hardcast. Like, realistically, Pyromancer is going to spam you with
Yep.
dudes. You're not going to be able to block them all.
Yep.
And Delver flies.
That's it.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Don't feel like it's the right choice. Even with the Graph Digger's Cage.
I've got to feel like the Delver deck's favoured here, but
Look, the longer a game goes on, the more control cards that Delver will gain, but the more game-breaking cards. And you've got to remember that a lot of the counter spells are situational. Spell Pierce. Cool. I've got a heap of Dark
Yeah.
Ritual effects. I've got fast mana.
Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm, even
Flusterstorm is very, very important here.
Mental Misstep is okay.
It's okay, but it's
Uh,
only stopping Dark Ritual. Actually, that's a lie. He's got Mental Mist. He's got a whole heap of things.
Yeah, you got the
VT,
shooters, the
Mystical,
cantrips.
A-Call. Yeah.
So what Jeremy wants to happen is he wants the game to go long enough that he can take advantage of Gush. The fact that he runs a lower land count and he can just get away with bouncing lands and drawing more spells. We've got hello to Connor in the viewers. So he wants to take the game long, take advantage of his low land, high spell count with
Yeah.
Gushes, and then use cards like Dig Through Time to keep the advantage coming.
Obviously, and just landing a threat, just getting in that beat every time, because Jeff's lowest total is a resource there. Like that's what the bargain's all about.
Alternatively, he can play a Pyromancer, a couple of cantrips, and a Time Walk, and end the game very quickly. So.
Well, we saw what happened in that other one with double Pyromancer. Like without the second Pyromancer, it was going to be another turn for Jeff.
Yeah.
Which is, Jeff is always threatening to win a game.
So there we see the Time Walk. It's a very key card in the Delver deck. To have to use it to get ahead on mana can be a little annoying sometimes. We'll see how it pans out.
Well, I wonder if he's going maybe for a Trigon Predator. Try and stop Jeff from being able to accumulate artifact mana.
Yeah, sure.
On the board.
So we see a Gush here with blue-red in pool. Jeff not having any of that. Force of Will removing a blue card. I don't know which, but something.
It'd be really nice if they'd just showed us a little bit. Mental Misstep. See, Mental Misstep's really important in this matchup.
We'll see if we can get the graveyards on screen for you in the next game or in the next match.
If Jeff could just move his graveyard, though, just behind his deck.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get that happening for you. So, Jeremy casting the Grafdigger's Cage off the floating mana. And the Strip Mine. That's a pretty big one. If Jeff's got a mana light hand, he could really be in trouble here now. What was that?
I don't know. That wasn't Jeff's turn. He's just played a sorcery speed effect, I think. Could have been the Shattering Spree.
He attempted to Ingature on his opponent's end step, which does not work.
You're so tricky, Jeff.
There it is in the main phase.
You got a level 1 cost that can't be countered by Mental Misstep.
Yeah.
It just feels like you're being
cheeky.
naughty.
Chalice of the Void also doesn't get it.
Oh, yeah, well, that's why so many decks played against shops.
That's it.
Chalice of One, as we saw in the Lee vs. Luke match, that Chalice of One was just destroying Lee on Delver.
Jeff didn't have a second land.
Oh, this is...
I've been told that Ingature is actually the most played creature in online Vintage.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you play Magic Online?
I don't, unfortunately. I've bought my paper cards, and I don't need to buy into a second set of my cards. So,
look, I like the idea of being able to play Magic whenever I want to play Magic, and you've got the whole world there to interact with. But there's just something about the actual physical being able to play with physical cards and the interaction with people.
You get to flick them around. You get to put your lands in front to annoy your opponent.
Yeah, but then again, to go to a shop, I have to put pants on. And let's face it, sometimes there's just days where that's a struggle. A struggle I'm not prepared to deal with.
So Jeff drew the Badlands, which is... It could have been an issue, but he has followed it up with a blue mana source here. So,
well, Jeremy's got to be thinking that those cards in his hand must be good. He must have some serious stuff to have kept a 1-land hand with a Mox.
Lands in front for life, I've been told. I did start playing it once for a joke, and it felt comfortable, so I've done it ever since.
Really?
Yeah.
It won me a tournament.
I'm a lands in front.
No. I don't think you understand. Playing lands in front of my spells won me a tournament.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did it. I didn't start the game that way. I did it in response to Pointy Finger of Doom activation. I had the win on the board. Could not afford to lose any other permanent bar my lands. He activates, and I'm like, in response, move all my lands in front of all my other permanents. Pointy Finger of Doom, he's scooped.
The good old world of
Well, won me the pre-release.
So, Jeff's holding Mana Crypt, Burning Wish, and Gifts, we're told.
Okay, well, he's obviously keeping the Mana Crypt off the board, just so he's not taking unnecessary damage.
Is that a second Grafdigger's Cage from Jeremy?
Yes, it is.
The only 2 in the list.
And I do like that Jeff plays Shattering Spree. I've got a lot of love for that card.
He'll have to wish for it if he wants it.
Well, he may have bought it in.
That's true.
He already bought in the Ingot Chewers in fear of the cage, but we don't know how many Ingot Chewers he actually brought in. Like, how many is he playing out of the board? He's only got 2 on the board.
So he's brought at least 1 in, and one of
Yeah.
the Hercules. Although, of course, this may have changed between games. He might have cut some, added some.
What's Void Snare?
It's a single blue sorcery. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand.
Okay.
It's
Sorcery. That's why
it's
it's
a
there.
sorcery. It's
Back in the day, before gifts got restricted the first time around, when it got restricted, people were playing Eye of Nowhere with
What's
the
that one?
Burning Wish. 2 blue boomerang, sorcery
Okay.
speed,
okay.
sorcery speed
Right.
boomerang.
The other one I've seen is Raging River. Is that a sorcery? Raging
No,
River
that was
or
the
Rushing
cunning. That
River?
was the cunning wish target they used to run,
Right.
where you could, I think, sacrifice a land to
yeah, it's Chain of
kick
Vapor,
it.
but only you get the option to
yeah,
to sack a land to bounce a second one.
yeah, it's got a kicker of sack a land. Remember, I used to play that in the old Psychotog decks.
Okay.
Where you'd pretty much just play 2 Psychotogs as your win conditions, and you'd have 4 cunning wishes or 3 cunning wishes and a burning wish just for fun.
So Jeffrey is holding all burning wishes. Not quite all, but 3.
Yeah, look, I keep going back to it, but that Toxic Deluge in his board,
Yeah.
I was really
it's a
hoping he
juicy
was
one.
going to have that in the last game when the board was just spammed up.
Yeah. I mean, it is tough because the Delver deck can present this game plan right here, where it presents 1 threat.
Still card for card.
Jeremy's proving me wrong here by playing a second threat. And even then, when you're Toxic Deluging the Pyromancer and all of the tokens, that's only 1 card that you're getting from the Delver opponent. And
True.
they play a lot of card advantage spells.
True, but when you look at the number of threats
Oh yeah.
in the Delver,
You can just run them out of threats.
you can just go, okay, well, I bought myself probably 2 turns because you're going to play a threat that can't attack.
Interesting here. He casts Burning Wish, leaving up the Badlands, not the Underground Sea. This is signifying
Shattering Spree, I think he.
Shattering Spree.
Well, he's got Mana Crypt in his hand, so unless maybe Wheel of Fortune wouldn't be there, but I'd love to see him play it again.
So this could be Will. It could be Deluge.
You can't go Will. There's a cage out there.
Okay. Yep.
The Deluge.
Interesting.
It's a 2 for 1.
I've only just noticed in the sideboard of Jeff Chan, he's got a Treasure Cruise. Now that is sweet.
Yeah, when you're already ahead,
It's
you go, oh well, I'm going to Burning Wish to get some more cards.
Burning Wish for Ancestral Recall. That is very cool. So we see the Toxic Deluge there. The 2 for 1. The downside is now that the Mana Crypt is in play. Jeremy no longer has to present a threat.
Yeah.
Okay, he will present a threat regardless.
See, if I was Jeff, I probably would have held back the Crypt and waited a turn.
So you're taking 5 there. You're not taking any Time Walk turns, so you're not risking that because the Time Walk's already used.
I think I would have taken the 5.
That's reasonable.
But then again, he would have untapped his lands. He would have had mana up. Like
So there's-
we're assuming that he doesn't cast another
sure.
Pyromancer.
There's no guarantee that.
that it would resolve at that point.
Yeah. Jeff was tanking on that. There's a Force of Will on the Pyromancer.
And Force of Will, I think, just pitched.
Was that the Hercules that disappeared? Or was that another
I
misstep?
think it was a blue card.
Jeremy with the misdirection. So Jeffrey pitched gifts. What did Jeremy pitch? Misstep. Alright.
Okay.
So
Alright,
we-
we've got some fancy coins here. Some Chinese coins, I think.
We've actually got the correct way of resolving the Mana Crypt. You don't roll a dice. That's
No, I hate flipping coins. Coins should never be flipped on a Magic board.
What's that?
They didn't cards.
You see Jeffrey there catching it in his hand. He's a
Well,
fan
not every
of
Magic
his.
player's got hand-eye coordination.
As you can see, Jeff plays foils and black border cards that he doesn't want dings in. So
It's like when people try to pick up those giant dice they've got and go to roll those and think they're being hilarious. They normally leave dints in most tables.
yes, I'm a fan of pen and paper myself. Can't bump that when someone bumps into your table.
Well, those giant dice don't bump very well.
That's true. Is Jeff empty-handed here?
I think the Burning Wish is resolved. Jeff is flicking around.
There it is, Burning Wish for pseudo Ancestral Recall.
When you're behind, get in front.
Electing not to crack the fetch land here. It's a free mana, Jeff.
He's down to 12 life. There's a Pyromancer on the other side of the board. Every life counts.
Okay. Sure, and there's a Mana Crypt in play too. Alright. I buy it.
Look, a lot of those cards he's not going to be using Yawgmoth's Will on, and then there's a cage over there.
The DT, okay, yeah. It goes back in, leaves
Yeah.
the DT behind. That one we do want to keep.
And he's kept the Toxic Deluge, is it?
Deluge, DT, and the Cruise just then.
Yeah.
How many cards has Jeff got there? He doesn't have his hand on the table, so...
I think he's at just the 3 that he's just drawn. And they're doing a storm count now.
So Jeff's drawn Misdirection, Ancestral...
No, they...
No?
Oh, no, yes, sorry, you're right. Sorry, I was just thinking he tried to cast an Ancestral before. There's a colourless in pool. So that white dice, well, Jeff's not playing any white cards, so... Could be white mana for all he cares.
Jeff has played white cards in the board before. He has balanced me. In this very matchup, Delver versus a Burning Wish Storm deck, I played a turn 1 Delver. He played a turn 1 Mox, Tolarian, Time Walk, Mox, Burning Wish, get balance. Untap for my next turn, play my last card, it's a Mox, balance.
Did you win that one?
No, I didn't win that one. We balanced down to his Tolarian and my island, and no cards in hand.
And a bajillion artifacts.
Yeah, 4 Moxen or something absurd like that.
Yeah, with Academy, that's pretty good. He's pretty much he's playing anything he draws.
Yeah. So here we see the Ancestral is resolved. So 2 Ancestrals in a turn is pretty good, they say.
Yeah, don't know, I'm a shops player.
1, 2, 3. We've got to draw 7.
Oh no.
Thirst.
First time we've seen Thirst played for the day.
Yeah, it's
Big fan of Thirst.
It's grown on me.
I remember back in the day. I guess I'm fond of it because I remember when it was a 4 of.
When it was unrestricted, were you playing Goblin Welder and Mindslaver?
No, I wasn't. I think I was playing. Well, actually, it wasn't then that it was so broken. It was when it was the 4 gifts ungiven, the 4 merchant scrolls, the 4 thirsts.
Right.
That was the brutal deck that abused the hell out of it.
Yeah. It was restricted at the same time as Brainstorm, right?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. So they really hit blue hard with its deck manipulations.
I think
Ponder. Gosh.
Yeah, so they hit a bunch of blue cards all at once. Thirst, Ponder, Gush, Flash, and Brainstorm. All the blue cantrips and the Flash.
It was interesting because Merchant Scroll obviously was printed back in Homelands.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Its first printing, and it wasn't until Gifts Ungiven became a thing that it even showed up on the radar.
Not even for getting Ancestrals?
Nope. Prior to that, I don't think I'd ever seen it. It's kind of like Strategic Planning, just came out of nowhere and over a weekend jumped in like $60 in value.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was quite crazy. It was around the time of when you I'm just trying to think if it was post Thirst for Knowledge being restricted, so they were looking for something else to fuel the graveyard for the Control Slaver shells.
Right.
And yeah, pretty much over the course of a weekend, it went from like a $15 card to a $90 card. Big US tournament. I can't remember which it was off the top of my head.
And then Thought Scour came out, and it all went downhill from there.
So, alright, so we've got Mana Crypt flipping here. Jeff is now realistically under some serious pressure. There's 3 damage threatening him from the other side of the board.
So he's lost
Mana
the flip.
Crypt's hitting him every other time. And the fact that it's foiled, it's a bit of saving grace.
Anymore. It deals 4 damage. Foil damage. Yeah, Vintage Champs 2009 was Brian DeMars built Strategic Planning, Slaver Control, which I wasn't playing back then, but I've been told that Control Slaver was...
it was a favourite. People used to use Pendavis with the Goblin Welder, and that would give you your continuous effect.
Right.
You'd give them a turn every now and again. And it was even funny if you were playing against another Control Slaver deck, because you would then start using their welders.
I have seen that happen in a Commander game. Someone Slaver locked their opponent with their opponent's Goblin Welder.
I got a lot of love for Goblin Welder.
Yeah, you've got to get creative sometimes. So Jeffrey's drawn the Tinker, doing double duty here in getting the Blightsteel into play and losing the Mana Crypt.
Very important losing that crypt. But you see here, if the board gets spammed up, Jeff's only on 6 life.
Yeah.
He could swing through and threaten lethal.
So the Blightsteel's got to hit and get blocked by 2. So Jeremy has to just draw Cantrip into Cantrip Gush and pray for the best.
But Jeff's doing a lot here to prove us wrong that this is not a combo deck. This is a good old-fashioned Control Tinker deck.
Are we sure that there's a Tendrils Agony somewhere? I don't think there is.
I think Jeff's just trying to prove a point.
What's he playing rituals for? That's for the
Their
casting.
foils.
Blightsteel.
He didn't have any other foils.
I would not believe that in a second.
Oh.
So Jeff with the Time Walk, and Jeremy just says no, thank you to that.
What's Jeff doing?
Jeff's got a ritual
He's got the Dark Rituals to pay for it.
in response to the spell pierce. to
He's
pay
paying
for
the mana.
This is absurd. I forgot that card was instant. First we see the key.
Do you know why that happened? Because Dark Rituals foiled.
First we see the key untapping the Blightsteel. Now we see the ritual in response.
But he's got the 2 dudes. He's got the 2 dudes to save him.
Yeah.
For a turn.
So once again, the Blightsteel crunches over. Lightning Bolt no longer a live draw. Time Walk already gone. It's gonna have to be a good one. What have we got, Jeremy?
This has been fun. I've really enjoyed watching
This
these
has been
games.
a really good match. Jeff has been taking some interesting lines.
He's kept us on the end of our seats.
Oh,
Right on the edge of our seats. And you know what? I can't help but think that it's unfortunate to see Jeremy go down this way, but
Jeremy, a brand new player to the league. As far as I know, he had barely played any vintage before this league. He's just jumped in and learnt the format on the fly.
I think he had some people who got him into Legacy, and then this is what stepped him up in Vintage. But the fact of how far he travels to play in this Vintage League,
Yeah.
like to get here tonight, he travelled. I think the transport planner on public transport was predicting an hour and 40 minutes
Yeah,
to get here just for tonight's. Like that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's a lot of commitment to a format.
So we see Jeff is actually playing a combo deck. It's Blightsteel Colossus and Time Walk.
Okay, so
that's the combo.
he brought in a Hercules and the Ingot Chewer.
Yeah.
It would seem.
Okay, so just
The other
one-
two, he
one of
Burning
each.
Wish. Oh no.
Oh no. Okay.
All right, I'm curious to see what the other card. He's still going through his deck, so maybe there was any others.
Jeremy boarded out Lightning Bolts, it seems. Could be right. Here we
Look.
are back in the booth. I'm Jimbo, this is Dan. You just watched the second semi-final of the Melbourne Vintage League 4. That means we've got the final up next. Before then, we're going to have a short break just to catch our breath. Let Jeff have a stretch of his legs. Up next is some combo versus shops action. We'll be back shortly. See you then.
especially after Jeff won those games.
Hi folks, welcome back to the Vintage League Finals. We're going to go into our very final game here. Winner of this is going to walk away with a brand spanking new time vault. Looks pretty good. So in our final game, we do have Luke McCandless on kind of Bazaar of Mox in 2012 style metalworker shops. So 2013, big metalworkers, Khan's even got an Ugin in there. And he's going to be playing against Jeffrey Chan, who's kind of amalgamated a kind of pitch long with a kind of JC control deck. Sorry, a kind of 2009 Tezzeret control deck. So both of these have got a bit of a flash to the past. Delver, unfortunately, was knocked out in both semi-finals. So we're going to be coming up with two very cool-looking decks here. Bit off the beaten path, but still very, very nice. Overall, they are taking mulligans, and I think they've both kept 7, which will be very, very interesting. Luke McCandless still with 9 poison counters. I'm sure that'll be taken away very soon. And Luke is on the play first. He does have that shot Mox. Are we going to see the Lodestone?
I don't think we'll see Lodestone. He's
Against-
thrown down the Chalice for 0. He would have gone Lodestone first, then protected the Chalice with the Lodestone.
Yes, very much so.
Ooh, this is not looking great.
Okay, Jeffrey Chan is going to force that Chalice on 1. You really have to do that. Luke McCandless just jumping right out of the gate here. He does not want Jeffrey to swing any punches this fight. He just wants to go straight in there and say, no, you are not going to play this game. I wouldn't doubt that he has very little left in his hand. He just wants to...
He's just playing inhibitors. Just draw the game out.
Well, between the two of them, Luke's definitely got the best late game. He's got Staff of Nin. He's got all the cards that'll help him reach
Trinisphere,
that.
wow. Wow, that's just bought him 2 turns just to stand around and do nothing.
As soon as he can get a beater or a way to close it out, this game is just all done and dusted. Nice and easy for an early game.
Well, that's why I call it shops.
He does
Go big or
need
go home.
He does need a threat, though. There is nothing here stopping Jeffrey from just going land, 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 Hercule's end of turn, and just
I
blasting
don't think
his
there's a
way
Hercules
through.
in the main.
No Hercules in the main now. That's greedy.
There is a DAC. There's 2 DACs.
Which
But
won't do
taking
anything here.
any of those things, that's a Chalice for 2. Now
Burning
that does
Wish is
mean
out.
Burning Wish is out, but it also means no more Spheres of Resistance.
Yes,
No
that-
Revokers.
Yeah, Revoker's in the main. He does have 3 in there, so unfortunately that has stopped him from shutting out
He
like
also
a memory
can't.
jar.
He can't put down a Chalice for 1.
That is a big one
He could
there.
still. He still has 2 Metamorphs in deck, so like he's still got an opportunity to play more Sphere effects. But I think he'll be just looking to get that Lodestone or that Khan, like you were saying before.
Hey, I'd take a Silver Golem here. Just bashing for 6 with the Sphere, that would be more than enough to end this in a very short succession.
Well, the interesting point there. Oh no, he does have enough to cast it. Because that Sphere of Resistance, along with that City of Traders, it's not causing him a huge headache, but it is limiting him to playing nothing but a 5 cost.
Yeah, plus the the City of Traders means he's going to be out of mana quite quickly if he does want to try and waste Jeffrey out of the game or strip him out of the game to keep that Trinisphere relevant.
Yes, 100% there. Now, I'm assuming he's playing he's playing 3 Wastelands and a Strip Mine. See, Jeff's now got his 3 lands.
He still is restricted to a 2 cost that he can't actually cast, so we could look at something like an Ancestral Recall here. Any of his 1 costs are still open. You could Dark Ritual go.
I think we might be seeing maybe a Ponder. Or maybe, yeah.
Actually, I could very, very easily see. Does he play Necropotence? He could.
No.
Yes, no. There's a. He
There's a
could
Necro
Ritual
there, is there?
Necro here.
I'd love to see that. Okay.
However, he does go for the key. Vault is still locked out by the Chalice at 2, which means he's going to have to find a way to tinker it into play. Though tinkering it into play is a bit of a non-bow with the key.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of cards that are being shut off in Jeff's deck right now. Like, with that Chalice for 0, like, Jeff's playing the full Moxen, he's playing a Mana Crypt in addition, a Lotus Petal. That's a lot of dead cards to be drawing.
Is he playing the Vault? Yes. No, it doesn't look like he is playing the Vault, so he isn't going with the full Mana Acceleration.
He's playing the Mana Vault
Where's that?
under Memory Jar.
Oh, I'm fantastic at this. So
So
he's playing the full mana acceleration, as I would expect with someone running Tezzeret and Gifts. It just helps getting those plays out turn 2.
I guess he's just going to go for the Blightsteel.
Mm-hmm.
Look, he closed out last round. What was it? 3 games in a row with
First
Blightsteel.
game, third game, and fourth game, just Blightsteel. And he
Yeah.
had the Voltaic Key for that too. Okay, so he's definitely going to... Oh, no, that's an
No,
Ancestral
he still needs
Recall.
one more mana before he can go for that.
No,
that
he could
Tinker.
have forced there if he
Oh,
didn't have the
yes.
Ancestral Recall, because that's a Chalice at 3 going down, I believe, with the Ancient Tomb and the City of Traders.
Yes, you're right there. Sorry about that.
So that locks the Tinker for Blightsteel out of the game.
Well,
But again, no threats. Does he have a way of getting rid of the Chalice at 2? To me, that seems that's the main one that he needs to try and get rid of.
Dak. Oh no, wait.
Dak can only
Dak-
steal it, and it will still be in play.
Yes, but you can sacrifice an artifact as an additional cost.
Ah, yes, I can see
And
this.
then that would also open... Oh, his Yawgmoth will be in the board, but the Dak would... Yeah, it's an
Chalice-
additional cost. So would it trigger?
No, I don't think it would trigger, but we'd have to get a rules lawyer to come in and do that. But the thing is, even if he gets it and tries to sacrifice it to Tinker,
Well, he
it's
can't
gonna
play
be
Dak
countered to the
anyway.
3.
Yeah, he can't play the Dak.
Yep, so with the Chalice at 2 and Chalice at 3, the Chalice at 0 is becoming less and less relevant unless he manages to get something like a Hercules through.
Well, hardcast Blightsteel.
Yep, well, that's always an option. Remember, for your Storm decks, Hardcast Blightsteel, better than all. Number 1 Blightsteel, NA, can confirm.
I think Jeff's really just thinking through his head how many cards he got left in his deck that he can actually play.
Yeah, well, if you go through the list, he can still play his Forces and Missteps.
And Misdirection, another dead card. What else is there? Oh,
No?
Tezzeret.
Yep, 5-cost Tezzeret would definitely
He could get the Time Vault.
Yes, he could. He could get the Time Vault, which really does seem like the
I
best
think that's
play
his
here.
out.
Remember, there's no way McCandless can really put any Revokers into play.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, there's not much he can do there. Like if Jeff can get to it, and admittedly he does have VT left as an option, so that's going to hurt. Jeff plays a lot of lands though. Jeff's land count is something like I think up around the high teens.
Yes, he is up in the high teens. However, his basic land count, I believe, is the 2 islands.
No, it's 3. 2 islands and a swamp.
Yeah, so 2 islands and a swamp. So, but even if he gets those out, he's not going to get the extra accelerants unless he can Lucksack into his Mana Vault as well as the Tezzeret, Soul Ring as well as the Tezzeret.
Yeah. Yep.
And he needs the next land to be a basic to play those accelerants through the Trinisphere.
Well, if he can go into the... Yeah, you're right. He can't do anything until he gets that 3rd land. He's now discarding, so he's clearly got 7 cards in hand.
And Luke McCandless still just...
He threw that straight back. He didn't even think twice about it.
Luke still with no threat on the board. So this, it may seem like a dream sequence to get the 2nd island, to then get into the Soul Ring, to then get into the Tezzeret. It's still alive.
It's viable. Like there's only one sphere effect sitting there making that Tez a 6 cost. Like, okay, he's not going to play Lotus, but okay, there's the Lodestone.
Tezzeret -0 into Lotus.
Yeah, that's...
And no 3rd land, so even if Jeff did have some sort of counter magic, he couldn't go through with that.
That Tez now is up to a 7 cost.
Yeah, it's looking more and more untenable. So we're looking island into Mana Vault, plus another land, plus the Tezzeret, and he needs to do this in under 4 turns.
Well, Jeff's come back from some pretty rough stuff in the last round. Just come out of nowhere. So I wouldn't count him out yet, but if that Soul Ring or a Mana Vault doesn't come down this turn, I think it's pretty safe. There you go. That's it. That's game.
We've finally got the threats on the board. Jeffrey Chan is probably going to have to go through. No, he's just going to pull it up.
Yeah, that's double Lodestone. He's on 13 life. That's 3 sphere effects on top of the Trinisphere, with the Trinisphere as well. But see, that was an interesting game there. You pointed it out, and you're 100% right. Where the Trinisphere was all well and good, but if you're not putting a threat down, they eventually get 3 lands and they can start doing something again.
Yeah, and that's one of the things a lot of people have when they say like there's this thing where they want Trinisphere unrestricted, and one of the things for that is you can actually, unlike a lodestone, you can't just play lands to get out of it, which is very kind of, well, pre-lodestone, if they didn't have welders and they didn't have much of a draw engine, you could do that. You could just lay your lands down, make sure they were basics, and then you were they would have a lot of trouble actually physically locking you out of the game, and why Smokestack was such a big part of the decks at that time.
Oh, and the Crucibles.
Mm-hmm.
The Crucibles, like reoccurring that Wasteland. You could go Trinisphere, you would drop down a Crucible, and then you could get them into a bit of a lock there, and you could put a Tangle Wire down to potentially just help out there, and you would eventually just wear them down. And also the introduction of the enemy fetch lands was a big key factor there, because they could then hide their lands and not have to crack them, which meant that your Wasteland couldn't force them out.
Yeah, you'd need to be wasting 2 lands if you really had to get it that turn. There are a few other things. At that point, when Lodestone was printed, shops did come from that kind of slow late game, which the Espresso varieties still try and do, and to some extent the Forgemaster, Golgotha Forgemaster decks, they try and get their late game engines working and then use that to actually kill you, whereas a lot more of the more aggro decks, though we have gone a bit more control in the past couple of years, the aggro decks aren't that anymore. They just want to put a Lodestone down, they want to slow you down long enough to deal the requisite 20 points of damage.
Oh yeah, 100%. You're starting to see lists especially with Forgemaster. I think Forgemaster's still quite aggro.
Mm-hmm.
Like they go for a big silver bullet though, something that's just going to keep you under.
Yeah.
Like that's why there's still Hellkite's there.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, the Sundering Titan. I'm just kind of, well, I'm going to dump it down. I'm going to take out 2 of your lands. If you want to deal with my threat, you're going to lose some more resources.
Yeah, definitely. However, Luke is going to go through his deck and he's going to see Storm. What do you think he's going to be bringing in there? He's got the Tormod's Crypts to fight against the Yawgmoth's Will, but that's not really going to do much.
He knows the Yawgmoth's Will's in the board,
and
that it's going to be wishing for it, and
it also cuts off gifts.
Yeah,
and
it
bear in mind that Will is really the best late game he wants. He wants to Hercule's Will.
I think Hercules is the bigger key card there, because at the end of the day, there's so many sphere effects down.
Yep.
Like between Sphere of Resistance and the Lodestone Golem, you're wanting to cast a Burning Wish, you're going to have to wait a turn before you can use it again. Like realistically, that's where I see the game going.
Yeah, the defense grid's really coming in. It's interesting because sometimes you don't really want to bring in defense grid against the combo decks, but in this one, it's going to force them to Hercules you on their turn.
Yeah.
They're not going to have the mana, or they're unlikely to have the mana on your turn to Hercules you, and then go and cast spells.
Well, we just saw Jeff couldn't get to any more than 3 mana. I don't think at any point in that game he had more than 3 mana to do anything. Which, you're 100% right. Paying for a defense grid on top of that is just
and
impossible.
Forcing them to Hercules on their turn is taking 2 mana out of their mana pool that they can't use to use any other spells.
They can't bluff counter spells.
Yeah, and bear in mind, this is more of a pitch long, though the misdirections are going to come out, and most likely the mental missteps.
The mental missteps will be coming out. They've both seen each other's lists. What can you counter there? Like, there's a Soul Ring.
Soul Ring, Mana Vault, they're not the important ones. The more important ones are the 2 Grafdigger's Cages that may be coming in. We saw in the last game that...
4. He's got 4 in his board.
The 4 Grafdigger's Cages. We saw in the last game that Jeffrey is quite scared of the Grafdigger's Cage. He brought in an Ingot Chewer, and he brought in the Hercules Recall against Delver.
Yeah, you're 100% right there. It's interesting in the fact that what do you think he's going to bring in? Like, does he want to close out the game even faster? Like, does he feel that a Sundering Titan is going to be relevant in this game?
Look, Sundering Titan...
Or a Wormcoil Engine?
Sundering Titan is really one of those cards that I don't like it if I don't see the Forge Masters. Yes, he's got the Metal Workers, but if he goes Metal Worker turn 1, that's the ideal point for you to have the mana, to have 4 or 5 artifacts in your hand to actually cast it on turn 2. But by then, Jeffrey's already got his cards in play. He's already Burning Wished for something. Playing that Metal Worker and waiting a turn is just too slow.
Well, that's always been the problem with Metal Worker builds. It's basically, here, opponent, have a Time Walk. I'll then play some fast mana.
Yeah,
like that's That's essentially what it's doing. It's kind of like, oh yeah, well, I could have achieved the same thing pretty much if I played like a Soul Ring type thing, and accelerate it out, but I'm going to give you a full turn.
Yeah, it's just...
It's always been my hate of Metalworker. Like,
It's not that playing Metalworker forces you to do that, but optimizing your use of Metalworker, getting the most mana out of it, does require that.
Yes. 100%. You've got to pass the turn. And passing a turn to Jeff can be very dangerous. If he's got Dark Rituals in his hand,
he's going to foil you out.
Make sure you bring some glasses. But yeah, like looking at Jeff's list, I see misdirections coming out. I see the mental missteps coming out. Because at the end of the day, Jeff still has 2 Dax.
Yep.
And they can potentially close a game out. Like they take a lodestone.
Yeah, Dax a really interesting card. Like there's a few things that I'm scratching my head at. The inclusion of a Badlands with Tezzeret the Seeker. That's a big one in my mind. But again, the inclusion of Dak in a Storm list, Dak seems like such a late game card. Especially if you're going to be like, well, it doesn't really refill your hand. Yeah, it gives you quality, but you've got quality cards all through your deck.
I think it's because the land count is so high that he's going to get to some points in the game where he's just kind of like, well, I don't want these. I'm going to filter these. I'm going to take your Moxes, your mana sources, and use them, and I'm going to get rid of mine.
That's more of a control mindset that you want to be taking their things rather than...
Well, I think you have to look at the list and just have a good look at it, and it's control.
It is.
We see 4 Dark Rituals and we think combo, and we see Wheel of Fortune and we think combo. But at the end of the day, Wheel of Fortune is just card advantage. Empty my hand, so I've got less cards than you, and let's play a draw 7.
Yeah, that's very true.
And that's how I've seen Jeff been playing it earlier today. Like he got down to 3 cards, and he's just kind of wheel. You've got 6, 7. I've got 3. Let's see what happens.
Yep. So he's definitely going to be bringing. And both players have kept their 7, I believe, and we're going into game 2. So Luke is up a game. Jeffrey going to be on the play. Obviously going to have a big advantage from that.
And I feel the need to mention that Luke was the highest seeding player, so he got play. He got to play in the first game there. That's a good start, Lotus.
Wonder what he's going to crack it for. Do you think Necro's still on the list? Necro is something that's...
I think it is. If he's kept Dark Rituals in, he's probably kept Necro in.
Yeah, some of the older Menindian style lists often would shave the Dark Ritual, shave the Necro against shops, but that was because they had the Oath in the sideboard, which Jeffrey does not have. So he doesn't have that kind of secondary game that he can try and do a gotcha with Luke. And Luke knowing the list means that though he may be bringing them in, it's entirely up to him. He may not have brought in as many cages as perhaps otherwise if he thought Jeffrey was going for an Oath style win.
Well, this is interesting here. He's gone double Dark Ritual, and a VT. Excuse me. And he's now got 4 black floating. He's sitting at 3 Storm.
I'm suspecting there's an Ancestral recall here.
Yeah, but I'm intrigued to see why the double Dark Ritual straight away.
Ancestral Recall, if he goes into, say, a Yawgmoth's Will, he replays the Lotus, the double Dark Ritual, VT, Ancestral Recall, if he can get a second blue source, which he will off the Lotus, Tendrils.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
So if that's an Ancestral Recall, he's got a deterministic turn 1 victory. I haven't done the exact math on that, but...
It's pretty high.
Thirst. Okay.
Alright.
Still sitting with 2 black and pool. Now he does have, including the Mana Vault, the full Moxen, so he's, I'd say, better than 50% to definitely be able to discard an artifact here.
Well,
Shuffle.
I was really hoping we'll see Jeff combo out here, Storm style, because we've all been saying he's control, and we've all been saying he's Storm, but all we've seen today is control.
Yeah, all we've seen is Blightsteel, untapped with a Voltaic key.
And there's just something beautiful about the finesse of someone using Storm to kill you.
Yeah, particularly as it's no longer such a huge part of the metagame. Like, I enjoy Storm, I play it quite often, but there's a lot of things going against it.
Oh wow. Have you got the Revoker, Luke? Like that's pretty much what Jeff's saying here.
Yep, Revoker.
He's got 3 Revokers in his main.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Even so, he could still have the Hercule's Recall or any of his removal spells to maybe do something, even if there is a Revoker there.
Tangle Wire. That's fine. That's fine.
Hmm.
That doesn't make a single bit of difference.
No, he's just going to take
It just means
takes
Jeff's going to take a lot longer to get a colour, to get more lands, and he's just going to keep doing it till he gets to lands, and then he'll have enough permanents where it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so all he needs to do here is in response, just pay for his mana, take the extra turn.
There we go. He's demonstrating it. There's the shortcut. Right, now Tangle Wire resolves. Everybody's happy. But with the quantity of lands, the fact that there's no Chalice Zero on the other side of the board,
It just means
this is just a formality.
he just needs to get 4 permanents in play. An extra 4. So the island is the first of 4. So he's going to tap that down.
Yeah. He really needs to move the island over there now, and that will just make it very clear as a day. It's 2 more permanents, and then we can start having some untapped things.
Luke McCandless knows this is the end. He's just probably going through, seeing exactly
Yeah, look,
what...
it's a bit different. Well, see, he already knows the list, right?
Mhm.
He already knows the list. Maybe he's just trying to see how Jeff sideboarded.
Yep.
And it's more about what he doesn't see.
Because if he doesn't draw any lands and he has to eventually start discarding cards, he may be discarding the Ingot Chewers, he may discard things like that.
Yeah, well, look, Luke already knows the Ingot Chewers coming. There's no question in Luke's mind that those Ingot Chewers are in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
You can't Burning Wish for those. The question is the Shattering Spree in the main?
That's also interesting.
Oh, win condition for Luke.
Just has to tap it down.
So,
Now, if only he could tap it and then donate it.
okay, here we go. So now we could even power up to a Tez, and then start thinking about using a Tez to attack with. He's going for a Burning Wish. No? Hercules? Okay. Alright, Luke's scooping him up. Alright.
Okay,
Right,
1-1.
so-
We can definitely see the advantage of being on the play for the more explosive deck there.
Yeah, look. That was interesting. It wasn't the combo I was expecting to see. I was hoping to see Storm, especially after that double Dark Ritual
Mm-hmm.
and the VT. I'm like, here we go. This is going to be something really cool. I feel a little bit cheated that it was Time Vault the win con, but
Yeah, just got to tell Jeff to man up and just play a Tendrils main deck. Cut out the
yeah,
vault.
yeah. Play 2. Play 1 in the board you can wish for, just in case, whatever. And play 1 in the main. Or play your DT in the board. Just put that in the board. It's not even a good card.
Yeah, with Delver around, particularly the older style kind of creature decks, I always enjoyed having at least 1 Tendrils in the main. Because you can always just use it as a little burst of life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Just really
it
messes
doesn't
with
always
people's
make
combat math.
it doesn't always make your opponent lose all their life. Sometimes it makes you gain 10 life.
Yeah. And more importantly, that buys you potentially 2 more turns just to find another mini Tendrils. And was Ad Nauseam that used to do that. I think they played, 3 or 4 possibly Tendrils in the main?
Yeah, the vintage Ad Nauseam lists. They played the 4 Ad Nauseams, and you were just like, kill me now as soon as they cast Ad Nauseam.
Well, now with Lightning Bolt back in with a vengeance,
Mm-hmm.
like I've never seen Lightning Bolt played so much in Vintage in the past,
Lightning Bolts
10 years?
Lightning Bolts lost a lot of popularity, probably since about 2030. When Mark Lanegra won the Vintage Champs with Grixis, that was probably the start of its high point when he was really sprouting Lightning Bolt and Ingot Chewer. Now, Ingot Chewer has come around, but in the preceding couple of years, we've seen Bug come in. Delver does run all its Lightning Bolts still, but the old style...
Not everyone's playing them. It's three to 4.
Yeah, but the big Grixis lists aren't playing them anymore. The big Grixis lists have kind of gone away a bit, and the old Bob list, the vintage Christmas championships or whatever, you control F Dark Confidant, 0 copies in like the top 64.
Really?
And that was a Magic Online event. Magic Online has
Is
a
the
lot more
metagame that
Lightning
different?
There's a lot more Lightning Bolts and Delvers, and shops had a lot of problems really early when Vintage was just coming. Tangle Wire was bugged. Wastelands are still horrendously expensive, so there's fewer shops than you would expect. That brings out a lot more, obviously, big blue decks. The more big blue decks there are, the more kind of gush control lists that traditionally had a harder time against shops because their natural predator's not there. And then again, you've got a lot more merfolk because they say, well, everyone's playing islands. Might as well have the best Keyword against that.
All right, so both players have kept it 7. Now this is
Fantastic.
best of 5, and it's a game each at this point. Double slide. Is that double slide Lotus?
I believe it is Christopher Rush and
Garfield?
possibly Garfield.
That's
I
definitely
assume-
Krista Rush's signature in black along the bottom. I don't know who's done the silver.
We've just been advised that it is Garfield, and so that's a pretty powerful start. Unlike the
This-
first game, Luke has got the threat and he's got the lock pieces.
Look, the only thing that was missing from that opening hand was a chalice at 0.
Yep.
And
What is with vintage players and just drawing their Lotus naturally?
yeah, like whenever I draw mine naturally, it's usually when I'm dead on board and I need something, anything other than a mana source.
And yeah, rip it up right now for a golem.
Yeah, and you're being beaten down by some, I don't know,
Goblin
young pyromancer or something. I don't know. Young pyromancer. There's a $2 card or a delver, a common. You're being beaten down by it, and I'm like, yeah, I drew the most expensive card in my deck, but I just died to your delver, you stupid common. Just a little bit salty on that. But it's interesting the number of shops decks that shy away from playing Lotus, because it's a mana source, but it goes away. It's not like the workshop.
Mhm.
Now maybe players are too attached to their workshops, and they see Lotus as not being fundamentally good enough, because it's not a continuous mana source.
Yeah, well, it was a big. I personally haven't played it for quite a while in my espresso lists.
Yeah.
For that reason, but I'm still playing the old serum powder lists, so you've got a lot more control in your opening hands about what's going to be there and what's not.
Yeah.
If you don't have serum powders, I don't see reason to not play Lotus, and even then, I may be wrong for not playing it just because it does give you such a powerful boost early on.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I guess I need to point out too is that it does affect mulliganing decisions.
Mhm.
You can't count it as a land. You can't go, okay, well my other land, a wasteland, or other mana source says wasteland, Lotus, lodestone. There's no guarantee that lodestone is going to resolve, and you're stuck there with a wasteland as your only other mana source. And if that had been a city of traders, would you have kept it? Probably not. But one other mana source, and it looks hell of good.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing too is Mana Vault. Some shop lists aren't running it. Like the number of times when they actually get to untap it with 4 mana seems to be less and less.
Jeffrey down on 5, 2 spheres, Tangle Wire. This was a very quick game.
Yeah. But then again, you looked at how quickly Jeff closed out the last one. What did Luke have? 2 turns?
Yep. That's alright. So we're going to say Jeffrey. I think the big one here is breaking serve. Obviously, Luke wants to break Jeffrey right here. He wins. He walks away with a time vault. Jeffrey, even if he wins this next one on the play,
He's gonna be on the
needs to
draw.
break Luke's serve for game 5.
It's hard work. Both decks are quite strong. Luke throwing down inhibitors, and Jeff just threatening a win.
Saying,
It's that
if you
simple.
don't have it, I do.
Yeah, like it's just that simple. Like at any point, Jeff could just come out of nowhere.
No, I really enjoy playing the Storm decks, and it's a lot of fun, but when you do come against a good Shops pilot, you know your work's cut out for you.
Yeah. Look, a pilot makes all the difference, but at the end of the day, they still need to draw the cards. So, it's been a good night of vintage, though.
No, it has. We've seen some pretty epic things. Has anyone actually gone off and got the kill on turn 1? I don't think they have.
No, nobody. Well, both the Delver lists were never threatening that.
No. So really, we're only looking at
Jeff.
Jeff.
And Jeff's been playing
Well,
a
I don't
control
know.
role.
I'd pretty much say that Luke had that game on turn 1.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, there was only one card missing, and that was the Chalice at 0, and that would have just been the icing on the cake. And he could have thrown that down through the lodestone protected, and never seen a force.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're having a.
But I think it's pretty safe to say in this matchup, if the lodestone resolves, Jeff probably doesn't have a way to deal with it.
Obviously, he needs more inhibitors. Even the lodestone will take 4 turns to take down Jeffrey. And
Yes.
he's not going to hurt himself enough to cut that down to 3.
Yeah.
Like, even if he wants to like land mox, vampiric tutor, fetch land. He's not going to deal the requisite 5 points of damage in order to try and to lose a turn there. So he's really going to have to. He's got 4 turns. Land mox, land. It does give you enough time to blade 3 lands and a Hercules Recall if Luke's not doing anything
double
else.
land Ingot Chewer.
Land mox and Chewer.
That's always spicier. Well, you follow that up, another turn, land, DAC, take it.
No, the one I always like is the hard cast Ingot Chewer, because that makes your opponent know. They really know that the game's just slipping out of their fingers. You've cast a 5-drop permanent. They are not locking you out of that game. You've destroyed the best thing that they had on the
too is it
field,
trades with a lodestone.
and it trades with a lodestone.
Like every day of the week, hard cast it or not, it trades with a lodestone.
Okay, and both players are taking a mulligan down to 6. And who do you think's better at mulliganing here? I mean, Jeffrey has more like 1 and 2 card combos that can just really go off, like a mull to 3. If say they're both mull to 3, Jeffrey's on the play. He can still tinker there. He can still go off.
He can still Burning Wish into something.
Yeah, he can still Burning Wish into something, provided he's got like a land, an acceleration, and a business spell.
Yep. He can just tutor up an Ancestral.
Yeah, Luke on
Like
the
Mystical, VT.
Yeah, Luke on the other hand, it's very different. Normally I'd say the shop deck will mulligan better because there's more 4-ofs, but he's got big 7 and 8 cast and cost things that he's not going to cast without the support of the Metalworker, without the support of the lots of mana acceleration. And you could say the same thing about Jeff with like Bargain, but even then, Bargain is not that hard to cast off 3 or 4 cards, provided they're the right ones.
Well, a Dark Ritual. Wheel of Fortune.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how great is it? How frustrating is it when you sit there and you mulligan into the hand you want, and your opponent goes turn 1 Time Twister or turn 1 Wheel of Fortune, and your hand just becomes arse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been on the receiving end of that a few times, and it's frustrating.
Yep, Jeffrey's kept his 6. He must be happy with the 6, and Luke looks like he's contemplating going down.
Well, Jeff might just have decided that he's got sufficient mana, and that's enough to sit with, and just kind of go, all right, well, my business spell might be a 2 cost, or I might have 1 hate piece, but I've got enough lands to ride out a Sphere effect.
Yep, no.
and cast it.
And on the play, that's definitely a play that you can take, knowing that your mana source is safe. Luke's running Metalworkers, he's not running Null Rod, so he's not going to shut down your mana sources.
Luke may potentially go Lotus, Metalworker, and then have it blown up by an Ingot Chewer before he ever gets to use it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, both players are going. We've got a fetch down
so
into
is
a
that
basic
6
item.
each?
Yes, 6 each, I believe.
A lot of shuffling.
And he's doing the classic. Oh, was it Brian Kibler who did that first? One of the big ones. He was playing against Eggs in Modern and just wrote down on his life pad F6 and then asked the judge to go to the bathroom. Just make sure my opponent's not cheating. Yeah, for those who don't know, it's a Moto quick key. If you press F6, it automatically says yes to all your opponent's stuff. It automatically gives up priority until the end of the current turn.
Alright, so we've just had a Ponder, is that correct? A Ponder into a Lotus Petal.
Okay, so not the great kind of mana start there. He is still going to go for the Chalice at 0. Chalice at 0 on the draw is a very interesting play. I tend to like it a lot because it's, say he Ancestrals next turn, or say he does something else and he sees a land and a Mox. He's really going to want to cast that Mox, but that Chalice at 0 is going to stop that, particularly also affecting like Will and Lotus.
Look, I think it's more a fact that you've got to look at the number of dead cards in hand. Right? Jeff and Luke probably have very similar quantity of 0 costs in their deck. But the simple fact of the matter is, Jeff has more ability to draw cards. So he's going to run into dead cards more often, even if there's equal percentages. Right? That's the way I look at it. Yes, there's Staff of Nin in Luke's deck, but I think if you look through the numbers, there's probably more draw cards in Jeff's list. And without the Jace to filter them back with the Brainstorm effect, he's stuck with them.
Yep.
Until he Time Twisters, of course.
twisters, wheels. He doesn't play the windfall, I don't think.
But then again, he can always just hold out to a Hercules recall.
Yep.
And then just jam him down and just kind of go, well, I got mana sources. I got him on the board.
I still had all Ds.
So we've got a sphere, we've got a cage.
He's going to take the 2 damage off the Ancient Tomb to untap his...
See, that's interesting.
Well, it does stop that kind of inevitable going down of 1 a turn. He's going to take 2 now, which is 1 Storm from a Tendrils.
Yep.
Whereas if that sits there for more than 2 turns, which it likely is, if he's not going to do it this turn, he's not going to do it next turn.
Do you know what it scares me a bit about?
What?
Is there may be one of those big-ass planeswalkers coming this way.
That could be the case.
Like, you look like there's no workshop out there. Right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Like, that's big mana. There's Sphere of Resistance there, so, like... Alright, so okay. We've got 2, 4 and pool, 7 mana now. Stuff it in. This needs to be dealt with sooner rather than later because he's going to draw more cards. He's going to get more inhibitors, and it's just a matter of time then before he fights that threat to close out the game.
That's not sooner rather than later. That is right now. That needs to be dealt with. If he's got that second land, I'd Hercules him right now.
Yep.
Like, you lose that, he's going to play everything again, but he's going to have to take the time to get that Mana Vault. Well, the Mana Vault will come in untapped again. But still...
But he's going to have to tap it to get the stuff from Nin down. And he's not going to be able to put down a Sphere of Resistance as well.
Correct.
It also opens up the opportunity to play down through the Chalice. But then again, the Chalice might come down at a higher threat then. Maybe at 1, maybe at 2. But I think 0 is probably still the right call.
Yeah, he still needs to, obviously, even if he were to go down right now, he really needs to choose between that Staff of Nin and basically everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, and with Jeff not playing a true Storm deck, maybe you can afford to give him that turn.
Ingot Chewer.
Yeah, that's...
On the Sphere.
Okay, that's... Maybe he's got a second Ingot Chewer.
This may be the case, though I'm not
No,
sure
he would have played the Ingot Chewer. He would have played the Ingot Chewer, there's no question about that. Obviously, Jeff just got pinged by the Staff of Nin in the end of turn.
And he's going to draw 2 cards. He elects to untap the Mana Vault once again. Wasteland's the red source. He still has one in the Lotus Petal. That's not going anywhere, but it is restricting Jeff's options.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Yes, that's very important. We just missed that. The Wasteland coming into play has killed the City of Traders. That's the last time for a while that the Mana Vault's going to be untapped that way. We haven't seen a workshop yet.
Bear in mind, we don't have any sphere effects. If he goes Ritual, Lotus... Oh, I can't do the Lotus. Ritual, will...
He can still Lotus. Storm count's 1.
Chalice at 0.
Can still do it. Gets the Storm count to 1.
Yep, and he is only 6 Storm away from death, Luke.
Yeah. Alright. Jeff's been pretty unlucky with drawing lands. I just feel maybe Jeff's got a lot of 3 costs trapped in his hand, and that Wasteland's really hurt him.
Yeah.
Why else would he go for the Sphere of Resistance? He felt that his turn of his opening, the opportunity was right there in front of him. This is interesting. There's the Lodestone. Now we're looking at 6 damage a turn.
Yeah, he's definitely got 6 damage a turn coming in, so that is still 3 turns for Jeff. But I think that, again, the resistor effect is obviously for Storm.
Yeah, but he's just brought it back in with that Lodestone. That Sphere effect is back.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the clock at this point. Like, the clock is nice, but he would just as easily play Sphere there.
Yeah, of course. Maybe Jeff's got the Hercules. But he's cracked that land in his main phase.
Which means, well, he can't play the Hercules here. Oh,
and the other thing too, he hasn't gone for a basic here. So that was a Delta, and he's gone for a Badlands. So he clearly needs the red source.
Yeah, he could definitely Ingot Chewer here. Again, going for the Lodestone, most likely.
think we're having some technical difficulties on the screen there. No, that might just be us. Okay, so there's a lot of shuffling. Our big screen's not working at the moment, so please excuse us not looking up so much.
Oh no, it seems
No,
to
we're
work.
back. We're back up.
That's right. So did he just go grab that Badlands and
He's
pass
used.
the turn?
Well, no, he's used the Delta to get the Badlands, and yeah, it's still his main phase. I think he's doing the counting, which always scares me when I see a Storm player counting. When you see them starting to fiddle,
Mm-hmm.
it always troubles
If
me.
he ain't got, if he can get rid of that Chalice, any kind of zero cost artifact, he does have a DAC in hand.
Oh, the DAC, the spicy DAC.
So he just needs another mana source, and that.
The DAC's only going to give him one shot. The Staff of Nin, unless he takes the Staff of Nin, which maybe he wants to do that, but drawing all that extra card every turn, but facing off a Lodestone, you've got to deal with that Lodestone now.
Dark Ritual in face of a sphere, only netting him one mana, and he does lose that blue source there.
He's gone the DAC.
He can't. He doesn't have a red mana. He's got 3 black and red.
I think he's just realised this. No, he wasn't going for the DAC in his hand. There's another card in his hand he was going for.
Blue.
Twister.
Twister, nothing floating. I think Luke has this game. Just absolutely. I don't see.
That Chalice is still there.
The Chalice is still there.
Lodestone's still there.
No, this is, I think, going for. We don't know if he had a destruction spell in his hand. Gaining the turn by casting that, if he had it, would have been much better. Going for the Twister, he's just given Luke a whole new hand. He doesn't have the Mana Vault untapped, but even
He's still got access to 5 mana, and he's got that Wasteland that he can just throw straight at the Badlands.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, Badlands might not be the best colours, but it's still a mana source.
Yep. No, I think unless he can draw a miracle here, he just handed the game to Luke. Giving the shop player 7 cards just. Well, it's why shops used to play Memory Jar, even when they were still playing Welders and things like that.
That's why Ubermask and Bazaar became a thing.
Mm-hmm. If you let a shop player draw 3 cards a turn.
What's the one thing that shop decks are missing?
Draw engine.
Draw engine. We've seen Staff of Nin on the other side of the board.
See, Jeffrey just passes his turn. He casts the Twister and passes.
He didn't even play another land.
Didn't he play the fetch?
Oh no, he played the fetch. He played the Delta, which got the Badlands. Sorry, yep.
Luke taking a damage from the Mana Crypt. Is that a Tolarian
Mana Vaults.
Academy?
Oh,
No,
that's
it's a
disgusting. That is disgusting.
6, 7, 8. Ugin.
No, that's Khan.
Khan?
That's Khan. Planeswalker Khan.
Yeah, now
And
we're
he's
talking.
just eating permanents. He's hungry. He wants to be fed.
So, as we did with game 1, let's think of his outs from here.
Okay.
So he's going to play land.
The door.
He's going to get eaten by Khan. Door to nothingness.
No, the front door. Just scoop it all up and run.
No. Khan there, really just sealing the deal here.
Oh, look, that's just salt in the wound. The Sphere of Resistance.
Jeffrey seems to be taking it in stride here.
I think after some
Wait,
of Jeff's
he could play the cheese stands alone or whatever it is. The cheese stands alone. If this is your only permanent, you win the game.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything here. Not with there being 2 sphere effects on the board, a Chalice at 0. There's nothing. That's not even to mention the Khan.
Can't take
Oh,
a
no.
card from your hand. Which card? Any card.
Mana Vault pings for 1.
Just no, but Lodestone there. It's not like Mana Vault's going to kill him because the Lodestone's killing Jeffrey in 2 turns.
This is very true. Just that's what Mana Screw happens though.
Mhm.
Like, Jeff was really unlucky there when you consider the number of lands in his deck and not to be able to draw that extra mana source to get that Dak onto the board. Dak onto the board, grabbing a lodestone, right? Or grabbing the staff and just going, I can ride this out for 2 turns.
Again, why did he get the Badlands there?
I'm not sure. I think he needed the red source. He felt that the red source was the way to go.
Into the face of a wasteland. Look, I don't know what he was thinking, but there was no way that Twister was going to draw him out of things unless he had a removal spell, which he didn't cast. And if he had it in hand, he got rid of it to the Twister. It's not like he was baiting a counter spell.
Was the Wasteland in play at that point?
Yes, the Wasteland. It was on his turn, and then he wasted him end of turn.
Yeah.
Double Tangle Wire.
Good sports as always.
And that's it. Jeffrey F6s his way out of the game.
It's a very nice mana vault though by Luke.
No, that mana vault definitely did work. He actually ended up saving a bit of life, maybe in the end, by untapping it twice.
But it came at the price of tempo.
It did come at the price of tempo, but with Luke there not having too many...
Yeah, look, it was interesting there, because Luke did give up a little bit of tempo by untapping it, but ultimately it is what allowed him to accelerate up to the big mana.
Yeah, so
like getting to that stuff of Nin, getting to that calm. Like that calm, like probably wasn't necessary, but it really did push down Jeff's throat and just goes, no, you can't have that land.
No,
you can't do this.
There is nothing for you in this game.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% right. By time twisting, if you can't go off that turn, giving a shops player with that much mana in play, 7 cards, just crazy.
Yeah, and again, I don't agree with that time twister. Giving the 7 cards is just absolutely huge. And really, if you could get that extra mana, if he dealt it into a swamp.
Or another island.
Yep, if he dealt it into a swamp, he could have cast Dak, but he chose to delta into the Badlands, which meant that it was just wasted.
Yeah.
He never did anything else with
No,
that.
don't forget that Dark Ritual took 2 to cast.
Yes.
So he was automatically losing another coloured source.
Yeah. But he would have, at least it would have survived a turn. With his play there,
he couldn't have cast the Dak that turn.
He couldn't have cast the Dak that turn, but as it is, fetching for a non-basic into a mount, into a wasteland,
in the face of the
and
wasteland,
effectively casting nothing.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Look, if the Chels hadn't have been there, the Twister might have been feasible.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that any artifact mana you draw into, you weren't going to go anywhere with it because of the Chels.
And you're completely tapped down because there's a big to cast it, and there's a lodestone in play.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to ritual to get the extra mana to even cast the Twister in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very easy for us to sit back there, but without knowing what was actually in Jeff's hand at the time, maybe he felt his options were already cut and gone.
I have a chair for the victor.
Ooh, a chair.
And one of these.
Ooh, I didn't know we got one of these for commentating.
Oh,
How sweet is that? Time Vault.
Do I get one, or is it just him?
Okay, halves.
Has it got a blue line in the middle?
Well, there's only one way to check.
Well, let's check.
Well, it's pretty nice condition.
Let's see.
It's very nice condition.
Actually, that is a very nice time vault. Ben Yap, Next Level Games, thank you very much for that.
Ooh. Very nice. See that? No brown bits on the corners.
No, that's a really, really nice looking time
That is
vault.
really nice. That's nicer than mine.
Well, just do a little.
Is this nicer than your one?
No.
No.
The one I won up in CanCon was.
This seems to be the standard prize everywhere. Is this like the same one, just doing the rounds? Do
No,
you
I
think?
still have mine.
Oh,
It took me
okay.
about 8 months to actually play it in a tournament.
Oh,
but
really?
Yeah, I won a time vault, but I was still playing shops at that time. So
I have to
just
admit,
kept
I have a
going.
time vault as well, and I play shops, and I think it's only ever made it into a deck on one occasion, a Grixis deck,
Mhm.
which I used for League for, I don't know, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks or something. And that's the only time I think it's really seen sleeve play. I did win one though in League 2, I think it was.
Yep.
But I split that with one of my mates and sold that off to him.
That's all right. So you were in every league up until now, haven't you?
Yes, unfortunately, I couldn't make it to this one because I was away over Christmas when the league was beginning, and I wasn't going to be able to get my rounds organised and played in the fortnight.
Yep.
And the same thing's going to be happening again this upcoming league. I'm going away for a fortnight to Bali for a wedding. Pairings come out I think on the Tuesday. I fly out on the Sunday. I'm busy, obviously at work. Then I've got Friday night. I'm out. Saturday I'm out the 30th in the evening, and I've got hockey all day in the day. It's not fair on my opponents to turn around and say, well, I can only play you on Wednesday,
Saturday at 1
Thursday.
o'clock.
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll come to you, but it's just not very fair.
No, that's all right. I can completely understand.
And it cuts me up not being able to play league because I really enjoy my vintage, and I just don't have much time to get into it.
That's all right. It's actually, we've had a number of players go all the way through. Myself, yourself, Lee Greaves, Jimbo Dowling. We've had quite a few go all the way through, and that's really, really nice to see. And we are picking up more people. I think every single time we've had more.
Yeah, it just keeps growing. And it's really good, and because this is really good preparation to use leading up to Eternal Weekend on Queen's Birthday Long Weekend for Victoria. I don't know if it's different for other states in Australia. So if you are travelling interstate, I believe it's around about the 7th of June on the week.
7th, 8th, 9th, I believe.
Yes. So Saturday is Vintage. Sunday
is the Legacy, and then Monday is going to be the Highlander, Australian 7-point Highlander, which is another fantastic format.
And I think we have a special guest joining us. Oh, watch the chords.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have introducing here Fluke McCandless.
Fluke. Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So it was a mighty fine performance there. You must be pretty happy with yourself.
Pretty happy with the deck.
Pretty happy with the draws. I think is part of that too.
How did you enjoy your opponent just giving you 7 free cards to lock up the game at the end?
Yeah, when I finally picked them up and looked at what they were, I said, "Oh, that's pretty good." And I cast a Khan.
Isn't that what your deck does? You just have a look at it and say, "Well, that's pretty good."
Yeah, sometimes not, but most of the time, yeah.
That's right. Now, you said you had made some changes coming into specifically the top 8, namely the removal of the expedition maps, which have been a mainstay since, well, you built the deck, which was a port of the Bazaar of Moxon list.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah, what made you take them out?
Since Masters, I've been finding a lot of the disruption becoming a lot better now. Expedition map can lead to some awkward draws and some pretty sketchy keeps, so I sort of wanted to just
of your Lotus into
don't keep any lands, hope they don't counter the Lotus or the map, sort of thing. So I wanted to sort of just like up the numbers on the things that I wasn't playing 4 of and just play a more consistent draw, sort of thing.
No, I can definitely see that. What was your run to get here? Obviously, 8 weeks is a long time to think about.
I started off 5-0 playing against people.
Decks.
Yeah, decks. I didn't write any of it down. I took my first loss in round 6 to Marco. Grixis has a lot of artifact hate and a good clock, so it's good. I then lost to Lee, who I beat in the semis. Didn't draw good. Delver drew a lot of artifact hate. I died.
Very similar to your second game today.
Yep, and then I rattled off the last 2 wins against other people.
So you ended up second in the standings?
Second
overall?
on the standings, yep. So
Okay,
I was really rooting for Jeff to win so that I could be on the play in the final.
That sounds pretty good.
I actually remember the conversation before they started playing at the beginning of the night.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Also, Jeremy plays like main deck Dragons, so I didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah, that's another big thing. Getting rid of your permanents at the cost of something that gets through some of your disruption. Like Trinisphere doesn't really do anything.
No.
You're not playing any Thorns, so at least you don't have to worry about that.
Yep. Yeah.
We have this for you. Apparently we thought it was for us for commentating, and we did because we were doing such a great job. But we got corrected that it was actually for you.
It is.
So...
It is for me. It's a hard fought card.
Well, we were trying to decide who would get it, and we thought, well, we could test it at the same time, like the blue line, and just tear it, and we could have half each, and yeah,
half of a real time vault is not.
I could get the creepy guy, and you could get the kind of hourglass.
Yeah, that's.
You can tear it the other way, and one of you gets the picture, and the other ones get the awful old wording of Magic cards.
Well, yeah, someone can play. Well, I've got Time Vault, and everyone needs to know what it does, and I play the bit that just says what Time Vault does, and then people have got to guess what I'm playing.
You play the Oracle text.
That's right. A lot of old Legends era and earlier cards. You just say, "What is this?" I don't know. Judge.
I actually had to ask for Oracle text on one of my cards before the last match.
Yeah.
You might have noticed the Mana Vault was altered and also foreign.
It doesn't matter. The English version isn't much better.
So I had to get the Oracle text to check if I could untap it before my upkeep or if it was the one that triggered
Upkeep
in
trigger.
my upkeep.
And
Because I couldn't
damage
remember
in
if it
draw
was
phase.
Grim Monolith or
Yep.
Vault.
Mhm.
So the plan was to untap it in his turn and then untap with it, but
Yep.
I had to do it the long way.
Had to do it the long way.
It
around.
worked out anyway, right?
Yeah. Ugin just.
Yeah, well, that was last round.
Yeah.
Ugin Fireball.
8 mana Lightning Bolt. You heard it here first.
Sometimes it's good.
Gets the job done. We can't argue with that. It's been an interesting list to watch it evolve.
Yeah. Well,
Because Masters was October last year,
Yep.
and I remember watching you play in the final against Andy's Junk and against Delver, I think.
in the semis. Yep.
Yeah, leading into that, and it was very interesting watching your list. You were still playing Expedition Map back then,
I was, yeah.
and watching the Strength of Defense grid.
Yeah, a lot of lists aren't playing it and I don't get it. It's literally just Mana Leak. You don't have to cast Mana Leak to do it, though.
Yeah, you just kind of just keep throwing your stuff in front of them, and they just kind of go, "Oh, I can't. Oh, there's a Sphere Effect. Oh, getting to that 3 mana is just backbreaking."
It's also really good to force like the turn 1 Force of Will, because sometimes they'll let a Sphere resolve, because they'll be able to leave 1 mana up and force like your important stuff, but they'll never do it through a defense grid, so they always have to counter it. So that lets you resolve your stuff later, and they get to lose some cards.
Okay. Do you ever find you go a little bit lighter on your mana? Like, I could see that you've got like the 3 cities, the 3 ancient tombs, the 4 shops,
Ancient Tombs, right?
4 ancient tombs. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just the 3 cities.
3
Yeah,
cities,
3 cities.
3 wastelands, a buried ruin, a Tellurian Academy, and a strip mine, and then the 4 shops.
Yeah.
So it's 17 lands at the moment. I have on occasion played a 16 land version. It can
Which
suck
was-
sometimes.
Which was the original Bazaar of Moxie
Yeah, the
list.
original list was 16. It didn't play Buried Ruin. It played the 4th City of Traders,
And it played the 4
4
maps.
City of Trades is too
and
many.
it played the
4 maps.
and it played 4 maps. Yeah, so that was a way to get around it. But any hand that's just 1 shop and an expedition map is awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't do
fair enough.
anything.
Yeah.
All your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Well, okay. That's fair point there. So.
All right,
Must be
thank
very
you
happy.
everyone for
Yeah.
watching. It's been great fun streaming. If for anyone who watched from, I don't know, the US, got up nice and early. If
I'm
there
sure
are
there's
any
lots
you
of
out
them.
there. All of them, all
plenty.
all
40.
of them.
Everybody
All of them.
follows the Melbourne Vintage League.
Oh no, it follows you.
Oh, just me. in
Yeah.
particular.
You've got an online following. People might not recognize you without your beanie.
Yeah, the beanie does
that's-
usually travel with me to every tournament, but I came straight from work, so I didn't have it on me.
Yeah, you got to save the good clothes for outside of work hours. I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the same problem.
Now, I need to give a shout out to those who retweeted things about us, saying this was going on. Now, I want to say it was pork and chip sandwiches from Ohio, I think. But let me just double check that for you. Otherwise, shout out to the guys in Ohio. Okay, let's just have a look here. If anyone can ever teach me how to actually work Twitter, that'd be great, because I don't know how it works.
Mm-mm. Do you think you're going to do many changes or revisions before Eternal Weekend?
Well, assuming I can re-borrow all of the cards I don't own, because I haven't won them all yet.
Well, that must really suck getting a time box. You don't even play that.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a hard life.
Yeah.
If I can borrow all the cards to play it again, I think I'll make revisions to the sideboard. The 15 I played for today were
Meta.
very tailored towards who was playing in the top 8 and what I was expecting to play against. So I'll probably have to add a little bit more Dredge Hate back into the sideboard. Maybe change out a few of the things to be more general catch-all cards rather than very tailored stuff. But aside from that, the main's really good. I'm still not sold on Ugin, but every time I draw him, it's really cool, so I'm going to keep playing him.
And I'm sure not many people expect to see it.
No, well, I mean, I used to play 2 Khan Liberateds in the same sort of thing. You just cast it, and people are like, that's not a card I ever played around.
Well, it was interesting that you say that because I think it was the first or the second league. The high-level Grixis players, so Isaac Egan and Dan Unwin, actually changed the cards in their deck purely based that you were playing Planeswalkers.
So that was because Vintage League 1, I played Dan in round 1. We went to a game 5. I was on the play and played Khan Liberated on turn 1. He didn't have a force and was never able to beat the Resolve Planeswalker. So it was over on turn 1.
Yeah, so they started playing, I think it was Dreadball.
Dreadball, yeah.
Yeah, they started
Um,
playing Dreadball, which is interesting because it actually started picking up in some other lists overseas. And
Well,
we
it
were
turns
like,
out it's really good at killing Tarmogoyf as well, right? Like, it's just 2 mana, kill anything.
Yeah,
What's the
he's
Rise
a
of
thing.
Rug was shortly after that, so
Yeah.
that was
And,
interesting.
still catches out Jace.
Yep. Oh, and Dak Vaden's important now as well,
Yeah.
because he takes a lot of cool stuff.
I admit, I personally also changed my list once I started seeing yours and some of the other lists popping up. Like, I put Revokers in there because I'm like, as a shops player, and I play a red prisony style, but yeah, I couldn't deal with the damn thing.
Yeah, Dak's like, I think in game 3 against Lee, I played a Chalice on 3, and he thought it was for the V-Click he'd shown me by miscounting how much he needed to pay for it. And I explained later it was because Dak, because I was pretty sure I was still just dead to land Dak Vaden.
Yeah, well, and look, that was threatening the whole time there with Jeff. Towards the end there, like you got that wasteland in there and just kept him behind that 1 mana, which was just super critical. Like,
Yeah, it's really important to stay. Now that Dak's a thing and they can't just cast an instant that kills one of your artifacts, they get to keep it. And you're playing Staff of Nins in my list, so them getting to draw 2 cards a turn is just as bad as you getting to draw 2 cards a turn for them. So you never ever want Dak to resolve. There's like Pithing Needles in my sideboard for it now as well, because
Yeah.
they can't Lightning Bolt them.
yeah, no, that's fair enough. Like, no, it's been a very, very interesting list to watch evolve since last October.
And even
I've enjoyed it.
before.
Well,
And
yeah,
even
yeah.
before,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I admit I haven't seen you play. I've played against you like a couple of times in the league and watched you played here or there. But yeah, it's been very exciting.
That's all good. Once again, thank you everyone for watching. Congratulations to Luke for being super awesome and winning a lovely time vault.
Yes.
But it's great. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you for Melbourne Vintage League 5.
Bam.
Sweet.